What if the deepest pain you've ever felt was not a curse, but a key to a door you never knew existed within you? What if the very thing you have been running from, the hollow ache you feel in the quiet moments of the day, is not an obstacle on your path, but the path itself? There is a silent echo in the busy rooms of modern life, a sense of running on a wheel that spins faster and faster, yet goes nowhere. You may have built a life that looks successful from the outside, a collection of achievements and possessions, yet you feel a profound spiritual hunger, a sense that something vital is missing. This is the fatigue of the soul, a weariness that no amount of sleep can cure. It is the quiet desperation of a spirit that knows it was made for more than this. It is the realization that the noise of the world has drowned out the whisper of your own heart. This feeling is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that you are beginning to awaken. It is a sacred call to turn your attention away from the chaos outside and journey inward. So I invite you now, not to a destination, but to a space that is always available to you. Find it in the stillness behind your thoughts, in the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Find it in the pause between one breath and the next. This is your inner sanctuary, a silent temple where you can lay down your armor, where you can be utterly and completely honest with yourself. There is no one to impress here, no role to play. There is only you and the truth that is waiting to be heard. In this space we will begin our journey, not to fight the darkness, but to understand its message, not to erase the pain, but to discover the gift it holds. Prepare to be still and to listen. The journey home to yourself begins now. We begin in the stillness you have created, the quiet sanctuary within, and in this quiet you may begin to notice it, a presence, an echo in the room of your own being that persists even in silence. It is a subtle hum beneath the surface of your thoughts, a weight in your heart that you have learned to carry so skillfully, you almost forget it is there. Almost. This is the pain you carry. It is the uninvited guest who sat down at your table years ago and never left. You have learned to live around it, to set a place for it, to talk over its silent, brooding presence. You have become an expert at ignoring it, at filling your life with noise and speed and work and worry, anything to avoid looking it directly in the eye. Society has taught us to do this. We are trained to be warriors against our own vulnerability. We are told that to be strong is to feel no pain, or at least to never show it. So we learn to compartmentalize, to build walls inside ourselves. We construct an entire identity, a mask of capability and composure, and we wear it for so long that we begin to mistake it for our own face. We might tell ourselves the pain is in the past, that it no longer affects us. We intellectualize it, analyzing its causes and effects as if it were a problem in a textbook, a thing separate from the raw vibrational reality of it in our own bodies. We might even become masters of distraction, our lives a carefully curated sequence of tasks and entertainments designed to keep our attention perpetually focused outward, anywhere but here. This is the great internal conflict, the silent war waged within so many souls. There is a part of you, the part that gets up every morning and puts on the armor, that says, keep moving, do not stop, do not look down. To acknowledge the wound is to give in to it. This is the voice of the survivor, the part of you that has gotten you this far, and it has served a purpose. But there is another voice, a deeper, quieter truth, a wisdom in your bones that knows this is not sustainable. It knows the cost of this pretense, the colossal amount of life force it takes to hold back the ocean of unprocessed grief, anger, and sorrow. It is the feeling of being an imposter in your own life. It is the reason why moments of unexpected joy can feel so terrifying, because they threaten the rigid control you maintain. It is why you feel a strange exhaustion that has no name, a hollowness that no achievement can fill. This is the conflict between the persona and the soul, the desire for peace versus the terror of what you might find if you finally stop running, the desperate wish to feel alive versus the deep-seated fear of feeling everything. Let this be a moment of radical honesty. This strategy of avoidance has not worked. It has not healed the wound. It has only allowed it to fester in the dark, its roots growing deeper, its influence spreading into every corner of your life, subtly poisoning your relationships, clouding your decisions, and robbing your days of their vibrancy. The constant effort of suppression is the source of the anxiety that thrums beneath your calm exterior. The unwept tears are the heaviness in your limbs. The unspoken anger is the tension in your jaw. The pain is not gone. It has simply gone underground, where it now directs the show from the shadows. Here lies the first noble truth of this journey. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. Read those words. Let them land in your center. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. Healing is not a passive process. It is an act of conscious engagement. It requires you to turn around, to face the thing you have been fleeing, and to look at it with clarity and courage. To acknowledge your pain is not an act of weakness. It is not self-pity. It is not surrender in the sense of defeat. It is, in fact, the most profound act of strength and self-love you can perform. It is the moment you stop betraying yourself. It is the moment you declare, "My inner world matters. My experience is valid. My suffering deserves to be seen." Imagine your soul is a house, and for a very long time, there has been one room in this house whose door you keep bolted shut. You never go near it. You tell guests it's just for storage. You paint the hallway outside a bright, cheerful color, but you can feel the cold seeping from under the door. You can hear the floorboards creaking within it at night. The entire architecture of your life has been arranged to avoid this one room. Acknowledging your pain is not about kicking down the door and charging into the darkness. It is simply about walking down the hallway, standing before the door, and for the first time, admitting it is there. It is about feeling in your pocket for the key you have been carrying all along, its metal cool and solid against your skin. It is the willingness to see. That is all that is required for this first step, the simple, earth-shattering courage to see what is. So I invite you now to perform a small, sacred ritual. Wherever you are, if it is safe to do so, gently close your eyes. Place a hand over your heart. Feel the warmth of your own touch. Take one slow, deep breath. And as you exhale, let your shoulders drop. Let the mask fall away. Now, bring your awareness to the feeling you have been avoiding. Do not give it a name. Do not attach a story to it yet. Just feel it as a pure sensation in your body. Perhaps it is a tightness in your throat, a fire in your belly, a hollowness in your chest. Just locate it, be with it. And now, in the silence of your own mind, or as a soft whisper into the air, say these words. Say them not to me, but to yourself, to the deepest parts of your being. Say, I see you, I acknowledge you, I acknowledge the pain I am carrying. Take another breath. And again, I see you, I am willing to feel this. I acknowledge the pain I am carrying. Do not try to fix it. Do not try to change it. Do not judge yourself for it. Your only task in this moment is to bear witness, to offer the pain the one thing it has never had from you, your loving, accepting presence. When you do this, you may not feel instant relief. In fact, the sensation may become stronger for a moment. This is normal. It is like opening a pressurized container. The contents surge forth now that they have been given permission. Let them. This is the beginning of release. This simple act of acknowledgement changes the entire dynamic. The pain is no longer a monster in a locked room. It is a part of your experience that you are now willing to meet. You have stopped being a fugitive from your own heart. You have taken your power back, not by defeating the pain, but by ceasing to run from it. The echo in the room has not vanished, but for the first time, you are not trying to drown it out. You are listening. You are turning toward it with curiosity and compassion. You are signaling to the universe and to your own soul that you are ready. You are ready to understand. You are ready to heal. This acknowledgement is the key turning in the lock. It is the first ray of dawn after a long, long night, and it changes everything. Having turned the key in the lock, having acknowledged the presence of the pain, a new challenge immediately presents itself. The old habits, the well-worn pathways of escape, begin to call to you. The moment you decide to face the pain is often the moment the temptation to run becomes most intense. It is the conditioned reflex of a lifetime. For years, your entire being has been programmed with a single, overriding directive in the face of this discomfort: escape. And these mechanisms of escape are seductive, powerful, and often applauded by the very world that inflicts the wounds. We must now look at them with unflinching clarity, not with judgment, but with the curious eyes of a scientist examining a phenomenon. We must understand the futility of escape. Consider the most celebrated of all escape routes, the cult of busyness. Our society has canonized productivity. We wear our exhaustion as a badge of honor. "I'm so busy," we say, and it is meant to signal importance, purpose, a life being lived to the fullest. But for so many of us, this relentless activity is a sophisticated form of flight. It is a sprint on a treadmill, generating the feeling of motion without any real forward movement of the soul. We fill every available second of our calendars. We stack our commitments one on top of the other. We answer emails late into the night, all to avoid the terrifying prospect of an empty moment. Because in the emptiness, in the silence between tasks, the echo in the room returns. The uninvited guest makes its presence felt. And so we orchestrate a life of perpetual motion, a frantic dance designed to outrun the quiet, persistent truth of our own inner state. The tragedy of this escape is that it works, but only for a while. It creates the illusion of a full life, while facilitating the reality of an empty self. Then there is the great modern anesthetic, the digital veil. At any moment of discomfort, any flicker of loneliness, boredom, or anxiety, a portal to another reality awaits in our pocket. The endless scroll, the video feed, the binge watch, the cascade of opinions and curated images. It is not an escape of high drama, but of low-grade, persistent numbing. It is a gentle, constant hum of distraction that prevents any real feeling from ever fully surfacing. It doesn't deliver joy or fulfillment. Its true function is to postpone pain. Notice the feeling after hours spent in this digital trance. It is not the satisfying peace of a rested mind, but a strange, hollowed-out listlessness. We have successfully avoided our own company, but we have paid for it with our presence. We have traded the richness of our inner world, with all its light and shadow, for a fleeting gallery of digital ghosts. We have medicated our wound with a constant stream of information that informs us of everything except who we are. Beyond these, there are other, more primal escapes. We may seek it in the validation of others, becoming chameleons who change our colors to match whatever we believe will win us applause and acceptance. We seek our reflection in the eyes of others, desperate for them to show us a version of ourselves that we can tolerate, temporarily shielding us from the version that lives within. We might even create drama, instigating conflicts and emotional storms, because the sharp, hot intensity of a fight can feel preferable to the dull, cold ache of our core wound. Or we may turn to the chemical veil, the most ancient and direct escape of all. The extra glass of wine that blurs the edges of a hard day, the pill that promises a temporary reprieve from the relentless chatter of the mind. These are not moral failings. They are the desperate acts of a being in pain, seeking the only kind of relief it knows. But they are flawed. because they only ever address the symptom. They are an attempt to silence the fire alarm while the fire continues to burn. The reason all these strategies fail is rooted in a simple, universal law. What you resist persists. The energy you expend in running from the pain is the very energy that feeds it. Your constant, panicked attention to avoidance gives it form, gives it power, solidifies its reality. And here we arrive at a vital metaphor for your journey. Your pain is your shadow. It is not a separate entity chasing you. It is an inseparable part of you, cast by your own form in the light of consciousness. When you run from it, you are running from yourself. Imagine running towards a low, setting sun. The light is in front of you, bright and distracting, but what is happening behind you? Your shadow stretches out, long and dark and impossibly vast. The faster you run toward the artificial light of distraction, the more defined and menacing your shadow becomes, always attached, always keeping pace. You can never outrun it. The futility is absolute. The inner conflict, then, is the battle between this deep, intuitive knowing that the chase is useless and the powerful, conditioned impulse to start running the moment the discomfort begins. You know that another hour of scrolling will leave you feeling drained. Your higher self knows that saying yes to that draining social event will deplete your reserves. Yet the habit, the craving for the immediate, momentary relief of the distraction, feels like a gravitational pull. It feels like a thirst that must be quenched right now. This is the struggle between your consciousness and your conditioning. So how do we break this cycle? Not with a grand, violent gesture, not by vowing to never feel the urge to escape again. That is just another form of resistance. We begin with something much smaller, much quieter, and infinitely more powerful. We begin with the practice of the pause. I invite you to try this the very next time you feel that familiar internal itch, that discomfort that precedes the automatic reach for your phone, for the fridge, for any form of numbing. I ask you to do one thing. Stop. Just stop. For 10 seconds. Do not berate yourself for the urge. Do not fight it. Simply observe it. Become a curious witness to your own programming. Feel the impulse in your body. Where is it? Is it a restlessness in your hands? An emptiness in your stomach? A tension in your chest? For 10 seconds, just watch it. Breathe into it. Be the space in which this urge is happening. These 10 seconds are a revolution. They are a lifetime. In that tiny sliver of time, you create a space between the stimulus and the response. And in that space lies your freedom and your power. In that space, you are no longer a machine running on autopilot. You are a conscious being making a choice. You may still choose the distraction after the 10 seconds are up. That is not the point. The point is that for 10 seconds, you were free. You proved to yourself that you are not the urge. You are the one who is capable of observing the urge. With practice, those 10 seconds can become 20. The space can widen. And in that widening space, you will find the strength to make a different choice. Ceasing to run does not mean the shadow disappears. It means you are conserving the monumental energy you were previously wasting on the futile chase. This is the energy of healing. It is the fuel for the alchemy to come. By practicing the pause, by witnessing the impulse to escape without immediately obeying it, you are beginning the profound act of turning around to face your own shadow. You are stopping your frantic sprint toward the setting sun. You are standing still, allowing the sun to rise high in the sky of your own awareness, so that the shadow you feared for so long can come to rest directly beneath your feet, no longer a terrifying pursuer, but a simple, integrated fact of your own being. The journey is not about finding a better hiding place. It is about realizing there is nowhere to hide, and that in this realization lies the beginning of your true, unshakable home. Having stopped running, having turned to face the shadow, you make a startling discovery. The thing you have been avoiding is not just a simple, clean sensation. It is not merely a feeling. It is wrapped in layers and layers of thought, of memory, of judgment. It is entangled in a story, a long, intricate, and deeply personal story. A story of what was done to you, of what you lost, of why things are the way they are. And every story needs a storyteller. To truly understand the nature of your suffering, you must now meet the architect of that story. You must unmask the ego. In this journey, when we speak of the ego, we are not speaking of arrogance or conceit. That is only one of its many costumes. We are speaking of something much more fundamental. The ego is the voice in your head. It is the constant narrator who has been commentating on your life since you were old enough to form the thought I. It is a mental construct, a phantom self, assembled from the fragments of your past. Your memories, your experiences, your beliefs, your roles as a son or daughter, a parent, a professional. It is the label on the jar, which you have come to mistake for the contents. This constructed self is not inherently evil. It is a necessary tool for navigating the three-dimensional world. It helps you remember your name, your address, and how to function in society. But the tool has taken over the master's house. You have come to believe that you are this voice. You have mistaken the narrator for your actual self. The ego's primary function is to maintain and strengthen its sense of I. It lives in a state of perpetual insecurity because it knows, on some deep level, that it is not real. It is a ghost, and so it grasps for anything that will give it a feeling of solidity, of permanence. And one of the most powerful things it can grasp is a story of pain. A simple, impersonal sensation of grief or anger arises in the body. The ego immediately swoops in and claims it. It is no longer just sadness. It is my sadness. It is not just anger. It is my righteous anger at what they did to me. The ego weaves this raw energy into a narrative, a compelling drama in which it gives itself a leading role, the victim, the survivor, the misunderstood one, the one who was wronged. This identity, though painful, is incredibly seductive to the ego. A grievance is a powerful anchor. It gives the ego a sense of being right, a feeling of moral superiority. It provides a history, a definition. The ego says, I know who I am. I am the one who went through this terrible ordeal. My suffering defines me. It makes me special. It then replays the story endlessly, like a favorite film, each viewing reinforcing the neural pathways of suffering. It gathers evidence, nurses resentments, and keeps the wound open, because a healed wound leaves a scar, but an open wound is a constant, living proof of its story. The ego fears the present moment above all else, because in the pure, silent space of the now, there is no past to resent and no future to fear. In the now, there is no story. And if there is no story, the storyteller, the ego, ceases to exist. Its survival depends on keeping you trapped in the psychological time of past and future. Herein lies one of the most subtle and powerful inner conflicts you will ever face. A part of you, your soul, your true being, yearns for peace. It craves the liberation of letting go, but the ego, which you believe to be you, is terrified of this. To the ego, letting go of the pain story is not just letting go of a burden, it is letting go of its very identity. It is an act of annihilation. It whispers to you in the voice of reason. If you let go of your anger, you are letting them get away with it. If you are no longer defined by this struggle, who will you be? You will be nothing. You will be empty. This is the great fear that keeps so many people chained to their suffering. They want to be free, but they are terrified of the imagined void that freedom represents. They cling to the familiar bars of their prison cell because they cannot imagine a life without them. The great liberation, the turning point of your entire spiritual journey, arrives with this realization. You are not the ego. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears the voice. You are the awareness in which the voice, the thoughts, and the emotions appear and disappear. This is the great uncoupling. This is the moment you stop being the actor lost in the play and become the audience. Let us use a metaphor. The ego is a master storyteller. It has been writing a long and complex novel called My Life. You are the main character. The storyteller has made you laugh and cry, has put you through terrible trials and fleeting triumphs. You have become so completely engrossed in the plot, so identified with the struggles of this character on the page, that you have forgotten a crucial fact. You are not the character, you are the reader. You are the consciousness that is holding the book. Awakening is the moment you look up from the page. For the first time, you notice the feel of the paper, the ink of the words, the silence in the room around you. You realize that while the character on the page can be hurt, betrayed, and lost, you, the reader, are perfectly safe. You are the silent, spacious, unchangeable presence in which the entire story is unfolding. The story is an experience you are having, not the totality of who you are. How do you cultivate this awareness? How do you practice being the reader instead of the character? You begin with the gentle art of self-inquiry. It is not an aggressive interrogation, but a loving, curious exploration. Find your quiet space. Allow the familiar story of your pain to arise. Don't push it away. Invite it in. Let the ego tell its favorite tragic tale. Listen to the narration of what happened, who was to blame, how it has defined your entire existence. Let the thoughts and feelings swirl. Then, when the story is playing, gently, like placing a feather on a scale, introduce a question. The question is this: who am I without this story? Do not search for an answer with your mind. The mind will only offer you more stories, more labels. It might scream back, "You'd be nobody, you'd be weak." Just let those be more words on the page. The question is not meant to be answered. It is a tool, a pointer. It is designed to guide your attention away from the content of the story and toward the space in which the story is happening. Ask it again. Who am I really behind the veil of this narrative? And then listen. Listen to the silence that follows. Feel into the stillness that lies beneath the noise of the mind. What is there when the story of your suffering is not being actively told? There is a presence, a stillness, a simple, quiet awareness. That is you. That is the reader. That is your true home. Practicing this is not about destroying the ego. You cannot. It is about withdrawing your belief from it. You are taking away its power by seeing it for what it is. A storyteller, a phantom. You are learning to lovingly disidentify. The pain may still arise. A wave of sadness may still wash through you, but it is no longer my eternal sadness that defines me. It becomes simply sadness, an impersonal energy, a weather pattern passing through the vast open sky of your being. The ego will still try to jump in and claim it. See, there it is again, our pain. But now you can smile. You can see the storyteller trying to pull you back into the book, and you can choose to remain as the reader, watching the story with compassion, but no longer mistaking it for your truth. This is the beginning of the end of suffering. Not the end of pain, but the end of the story you build around it. And in that freedom, your true life begins. As you persist in the practice of witnessing the ego, of gently disidentifying from its stories, something profound and often terrifying begins to happen. The entire structure of your perceived self, the scaffolding of beliefs and identities you have spent a lifetime constructing, begins to tremble. The storyteller has been unmasked, and the story it told about the world begins to lose its power. The world can seem to lose its color, its meaning. This is not a gentle slide into peace. For many, it is a free fall. It is the beginning of a sacred and terrifying demolition. It is the arrival at what the human world calls rock bottom. We are taught to fear this place more than anything. Rock bottom is seen as the ultimate failure, a pit of despair and shame. But from the perspective of the soul, this place is holy ground. It is the destination we were always traveling towards, though we took every possible detour to avoid it. Rock bottom is the point of absolute surrender. It is the moment when every single one of the ego's strategies has failed. The frantic busyness now feels utterly pointless. The digital distractions seem like hollow, mocking ghosts. The validation you sought from others turns to ash in your mouth. The mask of competence you wore is no longer just heavy. It has shattered on the floor, and you lack the energy to even stoop to pick up the pieces. You have come to the end of your own rope. It is the final, ragged exhale of the phrase, "I cannot do this anymore." And you are right. You, the egoic self you thought you were, cannot. Its reign is over. This is the state often called the dark night of the soul. It is a profound disorientation. The map you have been using to navigate your life has been set on fire, and you are left in an unfamiliar wilderness with no stars to guide you. The ambitions that once drove you seem childish. The fears that once tormented you seem trivial compared to this vast, empty meaninglessness. In this state, the ego enters its death throes. It will not go quietly. It may scream in your mind with unprecedented ferocity, blaming the world, blaming others, blaming yourself. It will project visions of a desolate future and replay reels of a ruined past. It will try to convince you that this emptiness is your grave, that you are ruined beyond repair. It will do anything to generate a new story, a new drama, to pull you back into its world of thought and form. To be in this space is to witness the desperate, panicked struggle of a king being deposed from his throne. Here, the inner conflict reaches its zenith. On one hand, there is the primal terror of annihilation. Everything you have used to define yourself is dissolving. Your personal history, your sense of being a good person or a struggling person, your plans, your hopes, all of it feels like sand slipping through your fingers. The fear is absolute. Yet, if you can be still enough, if you can listen beneath the ego's screaming, you may detect something else. A strange and paradoxical undercurrent of relief. It is the profound peace of the soldier who has finally laid down his arms after a lifetime of war. It is the quiet of a body that has stopped fighting a fever and has simply let it burn. There is a strange liberation in having nothing left to defend, nothing left to prove, nothing left to lose. The exhaustion is so complete that it has extinguished the very flame of resistance. In this utter defeat of the ego lies the soul's first true victory. This is the great secret that the awakened have always known. Rock bottom is not the pit you have fallen into. It is the solid, unshakable foundation of reality that you have finally touched. For your entire life, you have been living in a rickety house built on unstable ground, the house of the ego, built with the flimsy materials of thought and belief. You have been frantically trying to patch its leaks and shore up its cracking walls. The dark night of the soul is the storm that demolishes that house completely. And as you lie there, amidst the wreckage, cold and exposed, you realize for the first time that the ground beneath you is solid. It is bedrock. It is pure being. It was there all along, but you could not feel it through the floorboards of your constructed self. The end of your world was not the end of the world. It was the end of an illusion. Think of your soul as a plot of land. For years, it has endured a harsh, frozen winter. The ego's activity was like a layer of thick, impenetrable ice covering everything. Nothing new could grow. Rock bottom is the moment the ice finally cracks. It is not a gentle thaw. It is a violent, shattering event. And it is through these very cracks, through the fissures of your brokenness, that the light can finally get in. The light is not a sudden, blinding flash. It is often just a single, humble ray. It may be a moment where you look at a tree and for the first time you truly see it, without the mind labeling tree. It may be a sudden, uncaused wave of compassion for another person. It may be the simple, profound beauty of your own breath, moving in and out. These are not grand spiritual fireworks. They are the first sprouts of new life pushing up through the rubble. The wound, the crack, the breaking open, is the very point of entry for grace. The instinct, when you find yourself in this place, is to panic. It is to immediately start trying to rebuild, to scramble back up to the life you knew. The practical guidance for this sacred moment is the opposite. It is the practice of courageous surrender. Your task is not to fix this, it is to be with this. Sit amongst the ruins of your old self. Feel the cold, hard foundation beneath you. Do not rush to give this experience a name or to make sense of it. The ego will want to call it depression or failure, to box it into a story it understands. Resist this. Simply allow the disorientation. Allow the emptiness. This emptiness is not a void. It is a womb. It is the fertile darkness from which all creation is born. To surrender in this way is not a passive act of giving up. It is an active and courageous trust in the process of life. It is an embodied yes to the present moment, in all its starkness and desolation. It is the faith that this demolition was an act of grace, not punishment. By allowing yourself to sit with the rubble, without trying to neatly stack the stones, the dust begins to settle. And in the newfound clarity, you begin to see. You see the false beliefs you held, now lying exposed like rotten timbers. You see the strength of the bedrock foundation that you never knew you had. You see the vast, open sky of awareness above you, a sky that was always there but was obscured by the low ceiling of your egoic mind. You had to be completely emptied of who you thought you were, to make space for the truth of who you are. The breakdown was not a step backward. It was the necessary, painful, and ultimately beautiful collapse that precedes any true breakthrough. This solid ground, this sacred ruin, is where your new life will begin. It is not a place to escape from, but a place to build from this time, not with the ego's flimsy blueprints of fear, but with the soul's solid gold of truth. You are standing on solid ground now, the bedrock of reality you touched when the fragile house of the ego collapsed. The storm has passed, the dust is settling, and you are left in the stark, silent aftermath. In this profound quiet, something new begins to arise. It is not a thought. It is not a memory. It is a raw, pure, unfiltered sensation. It is the energy that was trapped beneath the floorboards of your old life, now freed from its prison. This energy can feel like fire, a surge of heat in the chest, a cold knot of dread in the stomach, a vibrating current of anxiety in the limbs. Having unmasked the storyteller, your next task is to learn to sit with the fire of its raw material, without immediately calling the storyteller back to explain it. This is the art of stillness. For a lifetime, your automatic response to this fire has been one of two things: to be consumed by it or to flee from it. To be consumed is to drown in the emotion. The instant the heat of anger arises, the mind leaps in, merges with it, and declares, "I am angry." In that moment, you are gone. The vastness of your being collapses into the single, narrow point of that emotion. The ego rushes back to center stage, armed with the story of why you are angry, who is to blame, and what must be done. You become the fire, burning uncontrollably, often scorching yourself and others. The alternative, as we have seen, is to flee, to suppress the fire, to pretend it isn't there, to douse it with the waters of distraction. But this does not extinguish the fire. It only creates a great deal of steam and pressure, a simmering inner state that saps your vitality and warps your reality. There is a third way. This is the path we explore now. It is the way of the witness, the alchemist. It is the art of sitting with the fire. This means you neither drown in it nor run from it. You learn to become the container for the fire. You create a conscious, loving space of awareness all around the sensation. The inner dialogue shifts from "I am sad" to "I am aware of a powerful energy of sadness moving through my body." This is not mere semantics. This is the difference between being a prisoner in a cell and being the warden who holds the keys. That small gap of awareness you create is the source of all freedom. It is the space where transmutation becomes possible. The inner conflict at this stage is primal and visceral. The moment a difficult sensation arises, the nervous system, conditioned by years of habit, screams, "Danger!" The body tenses, ready for fight or flight. The mind frantically searches for a solution, a fix, a narrative. Why am I feeling this? How do I make it stop? What does it mean? This is the reflexive, panicked reaction of the ego trying to regain control. The new path requires a conscious, deliberate response that goes against every instinct for survival you have learned. It is the choice to stay, to remain open and vulnerable in the face of the heat. It is the courage to feel, purely and simply, without the immediate need to understand or to act. It is a profound act of trust in your own being and in the wisdom of the energy itself. Here we uncover a fundamental truth. Your emotions are not your enemies. They are energy in motion, emotion. They are messengers, healers, guides. They are not meant to be permanent residents in your being. They are designed to flow through you. The suffering we experience comes not from the emotions themselves, but from our resistance to their flow. When you tense up around sadness, you trap it. When you suppress anger, you store it as poison in your cells. Your task is not to stop the river of feeling, but to become a wider, deeper riverbed, allowing the current to move through you without flooding the banks. This is the core message. Do not become the fire. Become the space that holds the fire. The fire itself is not the problem. The problem is believing you are a tiny, flammable object. The truth is, you are the vast, open, fireproof sky in which the lightning of emotion can flash and disappear. Let us invoke a new metaphor for this stage of your journey. You are a blacksmith's forge. Your conscious awareness is the stone structure of the forge itself, strong, stable, and able to contain immense heat. The raw energy of your pain, be it grief, fear, or rage, is the fire that burns within it. For years, you have feared this fire, believing it would destroy you. But the blacksmith does not fear the fire. She honors it. She knows it is the essential agent of transformation. Your practice now is to consciously place the unrefined ore of your being into this fire. The art of sitting with the discomfort is this act of conscious surrender to the transformative heat. You are not being passively burned. You are actively using the fire to burn away the dross, the impurities of your limiting beliefs, your false identities, your stored-up resentments. You are allowing the heat to temper you, to reshape you, not into something hard and brittle, but into something resilient, flexible, and luminous, like finely forged steel. To practice this, we can use the simple, profound tool of a body scan, focused not on relaxation, but on emotional alchemy. Find your quiet space. Lie down if you can, as this position encourages surrender. Gently close your eyes. Now, allow a difficult feeling you have been experiencing to surface. Perhaps it is a lingering anxiety, a touch of melancholy, a flicker of resentment. Do not delve into the story behind it. Just invite the raw feeling, the energetic signature of the emotion, into your body. Now, begin your journey of exploration. Let go of the why, release the who. Your only task is to become a detective of sensation. Where does this emotion live in your physical body? Scan your attention slowly, from the soles of your feet to the crown of your head. Is the anxiety a tight band around your chest? Is the sadness a heavy, dense ball in your solar plexus? Is the anger a hot, prickly current in your arms and shoulders? Take your time. Be patient. Locate the epicenter of the physical sensation. Once you have found it, your entire practice is simply to rest your awareness there. Do not try to change it, fix it, or force it to leave. Your gentle, non-judgmental attention is the healing balm. Now, engage your breath. Breathe normally and naturally, but with a focused intention. As you inhale, imagine that your breath is flowing not just into your lungs, but directly into this area of tension or discomfort. Imagine the breath gently surrounding the dense energy, creating space around it. You are not attacking it, you are aerating it, loosening its grip. As you exhale, simply let go, release. Soften the area around the sensation. You are not trying to push the feeling out with the exhale. You are simply relaxing your resistance to it. Inhale, create space. Exhale, soften and release. Stay with this for as long as you can. The sensation may intensify, which is a sign that it is coming to the surface to be released. It may shift its location. It may transform into a different feeling. It might even dissolve completely. Whatever happens, your job remains the same. To watch with curious, compassionate detachment. You are retraining your entire nervous system. You are teaching your body on a cellular level that you are capable of holding this energy. You are demonstrating that this fire is not fatal. You are building the muscle of presence. By learning to sit with the fire, you perform the most profound act of alchemy. You sever the chain that links pain to suffering. Pain is the raw, clean, unavoidable energy of life. Suffering is the optional, secondary layer of resistance and mental narrative that we wrap around the pain. By meeting the pain in its raw, energetic form, before the ego has a chance to build a story around it, you allow it to complete its purpose. You allow it to move through you, delivering its message, burning away what is no longer needed, and then dissipating. You are no longer a victim of your feelings. You are a conscious and capable container for the sacred fire of transformation. You are the forge, and you are learning, finally, how to tend your own flame. As you continue to practice the art of stillness, of becoming the space that holds the fire, you begin to notice something remarkable. The fire is not a chaotic, meaningless blaze. It has a shape, a texture, a location. It speaks. You have learned to endure its heat. Now, you will learn its language. This is the journey from simply feeling your pain to deciphering its wisdom. This requires you to turn your attention to the messenger itself, the physical form that has been your most loyal and misunderstood companion, your body. We live in a culture that treats the body like a machine to be managed, a vehicle to be fueled and repaired, or an ornament to be polished and displayed. The mind is enthroned as the seat of intelligence, while the body is seen as its dumb, fleshy servant. This is one of the most profound and damaging illusions of our time. The truth is that your body is an instrument of immense intelligence. It is a living, breathing archive of every experience you have ever had. It is your subconscious mind made manifest in flesh and bone. Your mind forgets, represses, and rationalizes, but your body never lies. It keeps the score. The unspoken grief from a childhood loss may not be present in your conscious thoughts, but it may live in the shallow, constricted way you breathe. The rage you swallowed in a past relationship may have been intellectually resolved, but it may still reside as a tight, painful knot in your jaw or a chronic fire in your gut. These are not merely mechanical failures. They are somatic metaphors. They are the body's poetry. That persistent ache in your shoulder is not just a misplaced muscle. It is the physical manifestation of the burdens you are carrying that are not yours to bear. The tightness in your throat is not just a random constriction. It is the physical sensation of the truths you are choking down, the words of power you are afraid to speak. The knot of anxiety in your stomach is the feeling of a situation in your life that you literally cannot stomach, that your deepest self cannot digest. To begin this dialogue is to enter a subtle, powerful inner conflict. The modern, rational mind, the ego, will dismiss this entire line of inquiry. It will say, "This is sentimental nonsense. A headache is a headache. I just slept on my neck wrong. There is a logical, physical explanation for everything." This is the voice of the intellect, which fears what it cannot measure and control. But beneath this chatter is a much older, wiser voice. It is the intuition in your gut, the deep non-verbal knowing that these physical signals are more than just random noise. It is the conflict between the head and the heart, between the sterile logic of the mind and the rich, symbolic wisdom of the body. Your task now is to temporarily dethrone the intellect and learn to trust this deeper, more ancient intelligence. It is time to learn the language your body has been speaking to you your entire life. And so we come to the core message of this stage. Your body speaks a language older than words. Listen to its whispers before they become screams. A whisper might be a fleeting feeling of unease when you are with a certain person. A slightly louder message might be a recurring tension headache after work. A scream might be a chronic illness, a panic attack, a disease that forces you to stop and finally pay attention. The body is a profoundly compassionate messenger. It always gives you the gentlest possible signal first. It is only when you ignore the whispers that it is forced to raise its voice. The most effective way to understand this is through a new metaphor. Your body is a compass. Your thinking mind is a map, a vast and confusing map, cluttered with roads you were told you should take, destinations others have set for you, and markings from old, outdated beliefs. The mind can argue endlessly about which way to go. It can rationalize any path, justify any decision. It is lost in its own complexity. Your body, however, is the compass. It does not argue. It does not rationalize. It simply points. In the midst of your mental confusion about a decision, the feeling of expansion, lightness, warmth, and openness in your body is the needle pointing to your true north. The feeling of contraction, heaviness, coldness, and tightness is the compass clearly indicating that you are facing away from your authentic path. The mind wants to debate the journey, but the body's compass already knows the way. To learn to read this compass, we can evolve our previous practice. We will move from simply sitting with the fire to having a conversation with it. Find your quiet space. Begin as you have before, by allowing a physical sensation to make itself known. It might be a chronic point of pain, or simply an area of tension you notice right now. Breathe into it. Become the space that holds it, with full acceptance and no judgment. Now, shift your attitude from one of simple observation to one of deep and respectful listening. You are approaching a wise elder who holds a truth you need. In the quiet of your mind, gently pose a question to the sensation. You might start with, "Hello, I am here now. I am listening. What is your message for me?" Then, be silent. Do not strain for an answer. Do not let your thinking mind jump in and invent one. Simply hold the question and listen with your whole being. The answer may not come in words. It may arise as a sudden image, a long-forgotten memory, a spontaneous surge of a different emotion like sadness or anger, or simply a subtle shift in the sensation itself. It might loosen, warm up, or dissolve. All of these are forms of communication. You can continue the dialogue with other gentle questions. You might ask, "What do you need from me right now?" Perhaps the tightness in your chest needs the permission to grieve. Perhaps the knot in your stomach needs you to say no to something in your life. You could also ask, "If you had a voice, what one word would you speak?" The word might be rest, or truth, or freedom. Trust the very first thing that arises, before the intellect has a chance to censor or analyze it. This practice is a radical act of self-reconciliation. It heals the artificial split between your mind and your body. The body is no longer an adversary, a source of problems, a broken machine. It becomes your most trusted counselor, your wisest friend. Each time you engage in this dialogue, you are telling your body, "I hear you, I trust you, I am on your side." This creates a feedback loop of trust and communication. The more you listen, the more clearly your body will speak. The whispers will become so clear that you will rarely need to hear the screams. You will begin to notice your compass working in real time. When you consider a choice, you will learn to check in with your body. Does the thought of this new job create a sense of expansion in your chest or a tightening in your gut? Does the thought of spending time with a particular person make you feel energized and open, or drained and constricted? You are gaining access to an infallible, internal guidance system that is calibrated specifically for your soul's journey. You carry within you a living oracle. You no longer need to endlessly poll the opinions of others or get lost in a labyrinth of pros and cons. You have a direct line to the truth. Your body is the compass, always pointing you back to the integrity of your own being. By learning to decipher its wisdom, you are taking a monumental step away from a life run by the chaotic stories of the mind, and toward a life guided by the clear, steady, unwavering wisdom of the soul made flesh. Having learned to listen to the body, to trust its compass, you now possess an anchor in reality. You have a direct connection to the pre-verbal, non-negotiable truth of pure sensation. Armed with this grounding, we now turn our gaze from the wisdom of the flesh back to the machinations of the mind. We return to the storyteller, the ego, but this time not as its captive audience, but as a discerning editor. Our purpose is to deconstruct the very architecture of our suffering, the prison of stories. The single most liberating realization you can have on this journey is the distinction between an event and the story you tell about it. An event is a raw, objective fact. It is neutral. A story is the layer of interpretation, meaning, belief, and prediction that the mind wraps around that fact. The event is the rain. The story is that the rain has come specifically to ruin your day. The initial pain of an event is often sharp but brief. The prolonged, chronic suffering that can last for years is created almost exclusively by the story. Let us make this clear. The event. Your partner ends the relationship. This is painful. The story. They left me because I am fundamentally flawed and unlovable. This always happens to me. I am destined to be alone forever. This story is what creates the deep, abiding suffering. The event. You receive critical feedback on a project at work. This is uncomfortable. The story. I am an imposter. I'm not smart enough for this job. Everyone knows it, and it's only a matter of time before I am exposed and fail completely. This story creates the gnawing anxiety and fear. The event is a single, isolated stone dropped into the pond of your life. The story is the endless, concentric, and ever-widening ripples of torment that follow. Where do these stories come from? They are not original creations. The ego is a master plagiarist, not a genius author. Firstly, it builds them from the rubble of your past. Like a biased archaeologist, it sifts through the evidence of your life and links every new painful event to a pre-existing wound. A minor slight from a friend today is not seen as an isolated incident. It is instantly interpreted through the powerful lens of a major childhood betrayal, amplifying its emotional impact 100-fold. Your mind creates a chain of evidence to prove its core negative beliefs, building a seemingly solid case for your own unworthiness. Secondly, these narratives are absorbed from the cultural air we breathe. We are inundated with societal scripts about what a successful life, a perfect relationship, or a meaningful career should look like. When the raw, messy, unpredictable reality of our own life doesn't match this fictional ideal, the ego creates a story of lack, of failure, of not being there yet. We suffer not because our life is inherently bad, but because it doesn't align with a story we were sold. Finally, the mind constructs these stories because it abhors a vacuum. The ego cannot stand the mystery, the randomness, the isness of life. It needs a reason, a cause, for everything, because a reason provides the illusion of control. A painful story that explains why you are in pain feels safer to the ego than sitting with the naked, unexplained fact of the pain itself. A painful known is preferable to a mysterious unknown. This brings us to a difficult and subtle inner conflict. We become addicted to our own suffering stories. They are familiar. The neural pathways are deep and well-worn. The role of the victim or the stoic survivor, while painful, is a role we know how to play. It gives us a solid, defined identity. It can even bring us certain payoffs, sympathy from others, a justification for not taking risks, a righteous anger that feels potent and energizing. To let go of the story of the one who was wronged is to step into the vast, terrifying, open space of creative responsibility. It is the conflict between the grim comfort of the known prison cell and the frightening, windswept freedom of the open field. This is where we must introduce a new, empowering metaphor. Your story is a prison. Its bars are not made of steel, but of your own recurring, believable thoughts. I'm not good enough. It will never change. People always leave. I can't trust anyone. We pace back and forth inside this self-made cell, shaking the bars, complaining loudly about our confinement, studying the texture of our suffering. We do all of this, completely unaware that the cell door is not locked. We are so focused on the bars of thought in front of us that we fail to see the open space beside us. The deconstruction of the narrative is the act of turning your head, of seeing the opening, of realizing the bars themselves are an illusion you can simply step through. This leads to the core message. You are the author of your internal story. And because you are the author, you have the power to write a new chapter, a new ending, or to close the book entirely and simply live. To begin this process of liberation, we will use a powerful practical tool, the fact versus story journaling exercise. Find a notebook and a pen. The physical act of writing is important here. Draw a line down the middle of a page. On the left side, write the heading, "The Story." On the right side, write, "The Facts." Under the story, let it all out. Write down the entire painful narrative that loops in your mind regarding a situation that causes you suffering. Do not edit or censor yourself. Write the most dramatic, fearful, and self-pitying version. Include all your assumptions about what other people were thinking. Write down your catastrophic predictions about the future. Name the villain and the victim. Get the whole toxic tale onto the page. Now, take a deep breath. Turn your attention to the right-hand column, the facts. Your task here is to be a ruthless journalist, a scientist reporting only observable data. Your only job is to state what happened, stripped of every ounce of interpretation, emotion, mind-reading, and fortune-telling. It must be a statement that every single person involved, even a neutral observer, would have to agree is true. For example, "He didn't text me back" is a fact. "He didn't text me back because he's lost interest and is probably with someone else, which proves I'm boring and will die alone" is a story. "My boss assigned the big project to my colleague" is a fact. "My boss passed me over because she sees I'm an imposter and my career is officially stalled" is a story. Be brutally honest and simple. Reduce the situation to its barest bones. When you are done, look at the two columns side by side. This is a moment of profound revelation. On one side, you will see a dense, complex, heavy, and emotionally charged narrative. On the other, you will see a few simple, neutral, and surprisingly light statements. Gaze upon the vast, empty space between the facts and the story. That space is the playground of the ego. That space is the factory of your suffering. And that space is filled with nothing more substantial than your own thoughts. This exercise is not intended to deny or invalidate the initial, real pain of the event. The pain is real. The suffering is optional. This practice is a pattern interrupt for the trance of suffering. It provides you with objective, undeniable proof of your mind's creative and often destructive power. It weakens the hypnotic pull of the narrative. It shows you, in your own handwriting, that you have been adding immense weight to a simple reality. You are taking the pen back from the ego. Your life is not the story you tell yourself about it. Your life is here and now. It is the feeling of the air on your skin, the rhythm of your own breathing, the solid ground beneath your feet. The stories are ghosts' projections of past and future, haunting the clean, bright room of the present moment. By learning to recognize them as stories, you realize they are optional. You are not the character trapped in a pre-written tragedy. You are the silent, spacious awareness in which the stories arise and dissolve. The prison door was never locked. It is time to step out. Having deconstructed the story, having seen the vast, liberating space between objective fact and the narrative woven by the mind, a profound question naturally arises from the silence. It is perhaps the most important question you will ever ask yourself. If I am not my story, if I am not the character in the drama, then who or what am I? The answer to this question is not found in a new story or a new identity. It is found in the recognition of a dimension of yourself that was here before the first story was ever told. It is the discovery of the unmoved witness. Think back through your entire life. There is a part of you, an essential awareness, that has been present through every experience. It was there when you were a 5-year-old child playing in the sun. It was there during the turbulence of adolescence. It was there through every triumph and every heartbreak. The content of your life, your body, your thoughts, your feelings, your circumstances has changed completely many times over. But the fundamental sense of I, the awareness that is experiencing it all, has remained constant. This awareness is the witness. It is the silent, screen-like consciousness on which the entire movie of your life has played. The movie is ever-changing, but the screen itself is untouched, unstained, and unaltered by even the most dramatic scenes. You have been looking at the movie for so long that you have forgotten that you are the screen. This witness self is not something you need to create, achieve, or cultivate. It cannot be earned. It can only be recognized. It is what you are at your absolute core. It is the stillness in the space between your thoughts. It is the quiet presence that knows you are hearing a sound even before the mind labels it birdsong. It is the effortless, background awareness of your own breathing. Discovering the witness is not about becoming something new. It is a homecoming to what you have always been, beneath the noisy layers of the personality you constructed. The most powerful metaphor to grasp this truth is that of the sky and the weather. Your true nature, the witness, is the sky vast, open, silent, luminous, and always present. Your thoughts, emotions, and life experiences are the weather. Thoughts are like clouds drifting through the sky of your awareness. Some are light, white, and puffy. Others are dark, heavy, and ominous. Emotions are like the wind and the rain, sometimes a gentle breeze, other times a raging gale. Life events are the storms that sweep through, powerful and dramatic. For your entire life, you have been identifying with the weather. When it was stormy, you believed, I am the storm. When it was cloudy, you believed, I am the clouds. You have been living like a frantic weatherman, obsessed with the changing patterns, trying to control them, predict them, and despairing when they are unpleasant. The Great Awakening is the realization that you are not the weather, you are the sky. The most violent hurricane in history has never left a single scar or lasting mark upon the sky. Once the storm passes, the sky is as clear and pristine as it ever was. Its nature is peace. The sky's power lies in its vast, allowing nature. It does not fight the storm clouds. It provides the space for them to exist, to rage, and to ultimately dissipate. In the same way, your power lies not in fighting your thoughts and emotions, but in becoming the vast, silent, allowing space for them to arise, to be experienced, and to pass away. As you begin to touch this dimension within yourself, a very subtle inner conflict arises. The ego, the storyteller, seeing this profound new realization, will immediately try to claim it as its own. A thought will appear. I've got it. I am the witness. I am so aware, so spiritual now. This thought is the ego creating a new, more sophisticated identity, the spiritual self. But this is a trap. Thinking about being the witness is not the same as being the witness. The true witness is silent. It is effortless. It does not congratulate itself. It simply is. The conflict is between the ego's desire to possess this state as a new achievement and the soul's simple, quiet resting in the state itself. It is the difference between loudly announcing, "I am being silent," and just being silent. Be wary of the part of you that wants to turn this profound truth into another feather in its cap. The witness has no cap. It has no identity. It is pure, formless awareness. This leads us to the core message that can set you free. You are not the storm. You are the sky. This is not just a beautiful poem. It is the literal truth of your conscious experience. The thoughts, the feelings, the sensations, the events, they are all temporary content passing through the permanent context of your awareness. They happen to you, but they are not what you are. When you truly grasp this, you stop taking your inner life so personally. An angry thought is just a dark cloud. A wave of sadness is just a patch of rain. You no longer have to build your entire identity around them. You can let them come and you can let them go, knowing that your essential being, the vast sky of your awareness, remains unharmed and at peace. To strengthen this muscle of disidentification, we can employ a simple yet powerful mindfulness practice, the art of labeling. Find your quiet space to sit. Your intention is not to empty your mind, but to simply watch its activity from a place of gentle detachment. When you notice that you have been carried away by a stream of thought planning, worrying, remembering gently, and without any self-criticism, simply label it in your mind, thinking. Then, gently guide your focus back to a neutral anchor, like the sensation of your breath. When a powerful emotion surges through you, instead of becoming it, create a tiny space by labeling its essence. Silently say to yourself, feeling of anger or sensation of anxiety or a wave of grief is present. Using the phrase feeling of or sensation of is crucial. It reminds you that it is a temporary experience you are having, not the totality of who you are. When you hear a sound from outside, label it hearing. When you feel a physical urge or twitch, label it sensation. Each label is a gentle act of stepping back. Each label is a moment of remembrance. You are remembering that you are the sky, not the cloud. You are shifting your identity from being the content of your experience to being the context. You are not trying to push anything away. You are simply noticing it, naming it softly, and letting it be. The purpose is not to analyze the labels, but to use them as stepping stones back to the quiet seat of the observer. As you practice this, you will make a profound discovery. You will see how impersonal most of your thoughts and feelings truly are. They arise from conditioning, from biology, from the collective consciousness. They are not as personal as you believed. This fosters a deep sense of inner calm. Your well-being no longer depends on having good thoughts and happy feelings. Your peace comes from the unshakable stability of the witness itself, which is able to hold all thoughts and all feelings in a compassionate, spacious embrace. This discovery of the unmoved witness is the discovery of the one part of you that has never been born and will never die. It is the indestructible, ever-present core of your being. Your personality will change, your body will age, your stories will crumble to dust, but the silent, aware presence that is reading these words right now is timeless. By learning to rest as this awareness, you find a peace that surpasses all understanding, because it is not conditional on what is happening. You have found the eye of the storm. You have realized you were never the storm at all. You are, and have always been, the vast, silent, and eternal sky. You have discovered the sky within, the vast, silent, and indestructible awareness that is your true nature. You have recognized yourself as the unmoved witness. This is the single most important realization on the human journey. But we live our lives in a thick, turbulent atmosphere. The smog of constant noise, the torrential rain of information, and the disorienting winds of other people's opinions and anxieties often obscure this inner sky. To know your own vastness, not just as a concept, but as a lived reality, you must consciously and courageously seek out clear air. You must learn the sacred, alchemical art of solitude. In our hyper-connected world, the words solitude and loneliness have become dangerously conflated, yet they are polar opposites. They are experiences that belong to two entirely different dimensions of being. Loneliness is a state of the ego. It is a painful feeling of lack, an ache of incompletion. It is the gnawing sense that something is missing, and that something is another person to validate your existence, to distract you from your inner emptiness. Loneliness is a craving for connection that arises from a feeling of disconnection from yourself. You can be crushingly lonely in the middle of a screaming crowd or a bustling party, because loneliness is an inner state of poverty. Solitude, on the other hand, is a state of the soul. It is not a lack, but a profound fullness. It is not an abandonment, but a homecoming. Solitude is a deliberate, chosen act of withdrawing from the ceaseless chatter of the world in order to connect more deeply with the truth of your own being. It is the feeling of being profoundly with yourself, and in that, being with everything. It is a state of inner richness, of replenishment. In solitude, you discover that you are, in fact, the very connection you were seeking. Why then do we fear it so? Our modern world conditions us to be terrified of being alone with ourselves. Firstly, the ego fears its own dissolution in the silence. The ego builds its fragile identity from mirrors, from the reflections it gets in the eyes of others, from the feedback it receives, from the roles it plays in relationship to the world. In the silent sanctuary of solitude, there are no mirrors. The ego is faced with its own formlessness, and it panics. It fears it will cease to exist. Secondly, we fear what will arise from the quiet. We know, instinctively, that the uncomfortable feelings we have been suppressing, the fire we have been avoiding, will come to the surface when all the distractions are removed. We keep the television on, the music playing, the schedule full, as a desperate attempt to keep the lid on our own inner world. We choose the anesthesia of noise over the potential for healing in the silence. This creates the great inner conflict of our time, the fear of missing out versus the joy of missing out. The ego is gripped by FOMO, the frantic anxiety that somewhere, someone is having a more exciting experience, a more important conversation, and that by being alone, we are falling behind. It keeps us tethered to our devices, endlessly scrolling, desperate not to miss a single beat of the world's frantic rhythm. The soul, however, yearns for JOMO. It feels a deep and quiet joy in missing out on the static, the drama, and the noise. It knows that by disconnecting from the world's periphery, it can finally connect with its own center. It is the choice between being a passive antenna for the world's endless broadcast, or becoming the clear, quiet source of your own signal. The core message here is profound. In the noise of the world, you lose yourself. In the silence of solitude, you find the universe. You do not enter solitude to escape others. You enter it to finally and truly meet yourself. A helpful metaphor is to see your consciousness as a glass of water drawn from a muddy river. The river is the flow of daily life. The thoughts, opinions, anxieties, and energies of everyone you interact with are the mud and sediment swirling within it, making it impossible to see through. When you are constantly engaged with the world, you are constantly shaking this glass, keeping the water perpetually murky. The act of choosing solitude is the act of taking this glass of water and placing it on a steady, quiet surface. The practice of being still within that solitude, of not reaching for a distraction, is the act of allowing the water to be completely undisturbed. What happens? Naturally, without any effort on your part, the mud begins to settle. The sediment of other people's energies, the dirt of societal conditioning, the gravel of your own frantic thoughts, all gently drift to the bottom. And for the first time, you see what was there all along. The water itself, in its natural, pristine, transparent clarity. That clarity is your own true nature. It was never lost, only obscured. How do we practice this alchemy? Through the discipline of intentional solitude. This is not the same as idleness. It is not simply being unoccupied. Intentional solitude is a sacred appointment you make with your own soul. It is a space where you bring nothing with you. No phone, no book, no music, no project, no agenda. You come empty-handed to receive the fullness of your own presence. Schedule it, carve it out of your day, as if it were the most important meeting you have, because it is. Start small. 15 minutes can feel like an eternity at first. Find your sanctuary. It does not need to be a mountaintop. It can be a corner of your room with the door closed. It can be a quiet bench in a park. It can even be the driver's seat of your parked car. The location is less important than the intention. Your only instruction is to be. There is no goal. You are not trying to feel peaceful. You are not trying to have a mystical vision. If your mind is racing, you allow it to race within the vast space of your solitude. If you feel bored, you allow the feeling of boredom to be present. You are simply creating a container for yourself to exist, without any demand for performance. You watch, you listen, you feel the air on your skin, you notice the beating of your own heart. You are withdrawing your energy from the world of doing and resting in the world of being. In this sacred container, the alchemy happens. Your nervous system, which has been in a low-grade state of fight or flight from constant stimulation, begins to reset and repair itself. The subtle whispers of your intuition, the messages from the witness self that are normally drowned out by the ego's shouting, can finally be heard. The creative wellspring within you, which is so often drained by constant input and output, begins to refill. And most profoundly, you discover what the mystics have always pointed to, that the divine, that God, that source energy, is not an external entity to be sought, but an immanent presence that is most palpable in the absolute stillness of your own consciousness. You find the universe by finding the center of your own being. Solitude is not an escape from life. It is a vital and necessary pilgrimage into the heart of life itself, so that you can return to the world not as a depleted reactor, but as a grounded and authentic creator. You go into the silence not to hide from humanity, but to find the truth of your own soul, which you can then offer to humanity as your unique gift. It is in the sanctuary of solitude that the unmoved witness ceases to be a philosophical concept and becomes your living, breathing reality. It is where the muddy water clears and you finally see your own true face, shining and serene. This clarity is the essential foundation for understanding the great energies of the universe that we will explore next. You emerge from the sanctuary of solitude, with your senses cleansed. The inner noise has subsided, and in the resulting clarity, a new perception of reality begins to dawn. You start to sense that the world, which once seemed so solid and separate, is in fact a shimmering, interconnected field of energy. You begin to feel the subtle vibe in a room, the energetic signature of a person, the living presence in a forest. You are starting to perceive the fundamental truth known to ancient mystics and modern physicists alike. Everything is energy. Everything, from the chair you are sitting on, to the light entering the room, to the very thoughts you are thinking, is simply energy vibrating at a different frequency. This is the vibrational paradigm, a new map for understanding your inner and outer worlds. Within this framework, emotions are not just psychological reactions, they are distinct, measurable frequencies. Think of it as a vibrational scale. At the lower end of the scale, you find the dense, heavy, slow-moving frequencies of shame, guilt, apathy, grief, and fear. To be in these states feels like being stuck in thick mud. Movement is difficult, your perspective narrows, and you feel contracted, heavy, and isolated. At the higher end of the scale are the light, expansive, fast-moving frequencies of courage, acceptance, love, joy, peace, and gratitude. To be in these states feels like buoyancy, like floating in clear water. Your perspective widens, you feel connected, creative, and full of possibility. It is crucial to understand that this is not a moral judgment. A low frequency is not bad any more than a low note on a piano is bad. It is simply a description of an energetic state. Pain is the experience of a low, dissonant frequency resonating within your being. Embracing this perspective can create an inner conflict. Your rational, Newtonian mind, conditioned to see the world as a collection of separate, solid objects, wants to treat pain like a broken piece of machinery. It wants to analyze it, dissect it, and fix it with a tool. It operates on a material cause and effect basis. But your emerging intuitive self, your quantum self, is beginning to understand a deeper truth. You cannot fix an energy field with a wrench. You cannot fight a frequency. You can only introduce a new, different frequency. The conflict is between trying to solve your pain from within the painful frequency itself and learning to dissolve your pain by consciously changing your own vibrational state. This leads us to one of the most powerful principles of transformation, famously articulated by Albert Einstein. No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. You cannot think your way out of fear using fearful thoughts. You cannot heal anger from a place of rage. You must first raise your own level of consciousness, your own energetic frequency, and approach the problem from a higher vantage point. To grasp this, consider the simple and profound metaphor of a dark room. Imagine you are standing in a pitch-black room. The darkness feels total, oppressive. If you operate from a low-level consciousness, you might start to fight the darkness. You could analyze its history, curse its existence, or try to shovel it out with your hands. All of these efforts would be exhausting and utterly futile. But from a higher level of consciousness, the solution is laughably simple. You do not fight the darkness. You walk to the wall and flip a switch. You introduce light. The light does not battle the darkness. Its very presence causes the darkness to cease to exist. In the same way, you do not heal the low frequency of pain by wrestling with it. You heal it by learning to introduce the high frequency of love, peace, or gratitude. Think of your own being as a beautiful musical instrument, perhaps a guitar or a cello. Your natural state is one of harmony, where your strings are perfectly tuned to the frequency of well-being. But the events of life, the traumas, the disappointments, the stresses can knock your instrument out of tune. The strings become loose and slack. Now, when life plays you, the sound that emerges is dissonant, jarring, and painful. This is the frequency of your suffering. The old way of thinking would be to blame the musician, life, or to smash the instrument, self-destruction. The new, vibrational understanding invites you to become a conscious musician of your own being. It invites you to learn how to gently, lovingly turn the tuning pegs and bring your own strings back into resonant harmony. How do you do this? How do you consciously change your frequency? You begin with the most accessible and powerful tuning fork you possess, the feeling of gratitude. Gratitude has one of Ahi's highest and purest frequencies. Its vibration is fundamentally incompatible with the frequencies of fear and despair. You cannot genuinely feel grateful and victimized in the exact same moment. The higher frequency will always begin to transform the lower one. Let us engage in this practice of vibrational tuning right now. Sit quietly, and for these next few moments, give yourself permission to lay down the heavy burden of trying to solve your problems. Let them be. Now, scan your mind and your life, not for what is broken, but for one single thing that is whole. It does not have to be big. In fact, starting small is more powerful. Can you find one thing, just one, for which you can summon a flicker of genuine appreciation? Perhaps it is the simple miracle of your breath, moving in and out of your body without any effort from you. Perhaps it is the memory of a pet and their unconditional love. It could be the taste of your first sip of coffee this morning, the warmth of a blanket, or the beauty of a single leaf. It could be a kind word someone once said to you, or the simple fact that you have a roof over your head. Find one small, real thing. Now, hold your attention there. Don't just think the thought, "I am grateful for this." That is a mental exercise. We are going for an energetic one. Invite the feeling of gratitude to arise in your body. Where do you feel it? It often begins in the center of the chest, as a warmth, an expansion, a lightness. Let that feeling be your tuning fork. Hold it, savor it. Let its gentle, high-frequency hum begin to resonate in your heart. Now, allow that vibration to expand. Imagine it spreading from your heart outwards, filling your entire chest, flowing down your arms and up into your head, radiating down your legs to the tips of your toes. For this moment, allow your entire being to become a vibrating field of pure gratitude. Let every cell hum with this harmonious frequency. This is not a denial of your problems. This is not toxic positivity. It is a conscious act of energetic hygiene. It is you, the musician, gently turning a tuning peg. By practicing this daily, you begin to change your vibrational set point. You are raising your baseline frequency. From this higher state of being, you will find that the problems that once seemed like insurmountable mountains now look like manageable hills. You will have more clarity, more creativity, and more resilience. This is because you are abiding by the universal law of resonance, like attracts like. As you learn to consistently emanate a higher frequency, you will naturally draw to you experiences, people, and solutions that are a match for that harmony. Viewing your life through this vibrational lens is a radical shift from victimhood to conscious creation. You are no longer a solid object being battered by a hostile world. You are a vibrational being in a vibrational universe, and you are learning to become the master of your own energy. Pain is no longer a curse. It is simply a biofeedback signal, an indicator that you are resonating with a dissonant frequency. And you now know that you hold the tuning fork of gratitude in your own heart, ready at any moment to bring yourself back to the beautiful, resonant, and peaceful symphony of your true self. You are learning to become the conscious musician of your own being, tuning your instrument to the higher, harmonious frequencies of peace, love, and gratitude. As you practice this, however, you may notice that certain notes consistently fall flat. There are stubborn, dissonant frequencies that seem to have a life of their own, pulling you back down into the familiar mud of anxiety and pain, no matter how much light you try to introduce. These are the dense, heavy frequencies of resentment, grievance, and righteous anger. They are the energetic anchors we drag behind us, often unknowingly. To truly ascend in your own consciousness, to allow your ship to sail freely on the open ocean of well-being, you must learn to cut the anchor chains. This brings us to the profoundly misunderstood and intensely practical art of forgiveness. First, we must dismantle the edifice of lies that has been built around this word. Forgiveness, in the context of your energetic healing, is not about the other person. It is not about condoning their harmful behavior. It is not about letting them off the hook. It is not about forgetting what happened, and it does not necessarily mean you must reconcile with them or allow them back into your life. To forgive is not a moral duty you owe to someone who has wronged you. Let us be perfectly clear. Forgiveness is a ruthless, pragmatic, and entirely selfish act of energetic hygiene that you perform for yourself, and for yourself alone. It is the unilateral declaration that you will no longer allow a person or event from the past to occupy precious real estate in your mind and contaminate the vibration of your present moment. It is the ultimate act of self-preservation. To understand this, we must look through the vibrational lens. When you hold on to a grievance against someone, you create and maintain a thick, toxic, energetic cord that connects you to that person. This cord is a conduit. Every time you replay the story of what they did, every time you indulge in the bitter satisfaction of your anger, you are essentially plugging yourself back into the low-frequency energy of the original painful event. You are voluntarily reinfecting your own energy field with the poison of the past. Holding a grudge doesn't keep the other person in a prison, it keeps you chained to them. Your resentment is the chain. This creates one of the ego's favorite inner conflicts, the desire to be right versus the desire to be free. The ego thrives on righteousness. It builds a powerful identity around being the victim, the one who was wronged. It screams for justice, for an apology, for retribution. They don't deserve my forgiveness, the ego cries. And from a conventional standpoint, it may be correct. But the soul asks a different, more intelligent question. Regardless of what they deserve, what do you deserve? Do you deserve to carry this heavy, toxic energy in your body for one more day? They are out living their life, while you are here, in the prison of your own mind, reliving the moment of your wounding over and over again. You must eventually choose. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be free? This brings us to the core message, a truth so vital it should be etched into your consciousness. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It is a slow-motion act of self-harm. You are the only one who feels the corrosive effects of your own resentment. You are the only one whose body is flooded with the stress hormones of your own anger. You are the only one whose frequency is being dragged down. Therefore, forgiveness is the act of drinking the antidote. It is you deciding, for your own sake, to put down the poison. To make this practical, we will use a powerful visualization technique, a form of active meditation to sever these draining energetic cords. Find your quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes. Take several deep, calming breaths, coming fully into your body. Recognize that you are entering into a sacred act of reclaiming your own power and peace. Now, in your mind's eye, imagine yourself standing in a place that feels safe, protected, and full of light. It could be a beautiful meadow, a quiet temple, or simply a sphere of golden light. Call to mind the person or situation you are finally ready to release. See them standing before you, at a comfortable and respectful distance. Do not engage in a fight. Just see them there. Become aware of an energetic cord connecting you to them. It often extends from the area of your solar plexus, your center of personal power, and connects to theirs. Notice its appearance. Is it a thick, greasy rope, a thorny vine, a rusty chain? Feel its texture, its weight. and the way it subtly pulls on you, draining your vitality. Now, in the silence of your mind, speak your truth to this person. You might say something like, "I acknowledge the pain that occurred between us. I see the role we both played. I am no longer willing to carry the energy of this story. For any lessons I learned from this experience, I thank you. And now, for the sake of my own freedom and my own peace, I release you." Next, imagine forming in your dominant hand a tool of pure, energetic light. It could be a magnificent sword of brilliant blue flame, a pair of gleaming golden scissors, or a sharp blade of black obsidian. Whatever feels most powerful and right for you, take a deep breath, and with a clear, firm intention to reclaim your energy, see yourself severing the cord between you. Make a clean, decisive cut. Watch as the cord instantly dissolves into particles of light. See the end that was attached to you, retracting back into your solar plexus, and as it does, it is instantly sealed with brilliant, golden, healing light. Feel your own energy, which was leaking out, now returning to you, filling you up. See the other end of the cord retracting back to the other person and sealing for them as well. This is not an act of aggression. You are creating energetic sovereignty. You are taking back what is yours and giving back what is theirs. Now, see the image of the other person gently fading away, dissolving into light, or turning and walking peacefully away. With a neutral heart, wish them well on their own journey, separate from yours. You are releasing them from the role they played in your story. Finally, bring your full attention back to your own being. Feel the new sense of lightness, of wholeness in your energy field. Feel the space where the heavy cord used to be, now filled with your own radiant light. You are complete. You are free. This same process can and must be used for the person we often find it hardest to forgive, ourselves. If you hold a grievance against a past version of yourself for a mistake you made, for a time you were weak, or for not knowing what you know now, you are tethered to that past self with a cord of shame. Perform this same ritual. Visualize that younger version of you, extend your compassion, acknowledge the lesson, and cut the cord. Forgive yourself for not knowing better at the time. To forgive is the ultimate vibrational decluttering. It is the most powerful act you can perform to raise your baseline frequency. It does not change the past, but it liberates your present from its grip. Each cord you cut represents a massive infusion of life force that is now available for you to create the life you desire. You are cutting the anchors that have kept you stranded in the shallow, muddy waters of the past. You are freeing yourself to finally sail into the deep, clear, and peaceful ocean of the now. The powerful act of forgiveness, of severing the cords to the past, is a specific training exercise for a much larger spiritual competency. It is a single lesson in the grand curriculum of release. Once you have tasted the freedom that comes from letting go of a single, heavy stone, you begin to realize that you have the power to let go of the entire bag of rocks you have been carrying. This brings us to a fundamental law of the universe, a truth so profound that its acceptance can end your war with reality. This is the wisdom of impermanence, the divine art of letting go. At the heart of Eastern philosophy lies the principle of anicca, or impermanence. It states, quite simply, that everything is in a constant state of flux. Nothing is static. The mountains are slowly eroding, the stars are burning out. Your own body is in a continuous process of decay and renewal, with cells dying and being replaced in their billions. Your thoughts are the most fleeting of all, appearing like lightning flashes in the sky of your mind. Your emotions are like weather patterns, shifting from sunny to stormy in a matter of moments. Every relationship, every job, every phase of your life, every breath you take, has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Nothing lasts. To the ego, this truth is terrifying. The ego, in its desperate search for security, wants to build a permanent home on constantly shifting ground. It wants to freeze the river of life and turn it into a solid, predictable block of ice. And the primary source of all human suffering lies right here, not in the fact that things change, but in our violent resistance to this fundamental law of nature. We suffer because we cling. Our resistance takes two primary forms. The first is clinging to pleasure. We experience a moment of joy, a feeling of love, a period of success, and immediately the mind, the ego, latches onto it with a grip of steel. This is it says. I must hold on to this forever. How can I guarantee this feeling will never leave? This very act of grasping destroys the beauty of the moment. It introduces the anxiety of future loss into the joy of the present. We can no longer simply enjoy the warmth of the sun because we are already worrying about the sunset. The second form of resistance is aversion to pain. We experience a difficult emotion, a painful sensation, a challenging life event, and the mind immediately reacts with, "This shouldn't be happening. I cannot tolerate this. I must get rid of this feeling right now." This aversion, this inner no to what is, creates a state of intense internal friction. It is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The effort required is immense, and the moment you relax, the ball shoots to the surface with even greater force. Your resistance does not eliminate the pain. It amplifies it and prolongs its stay. Clinging and aversion are two heads of the same hydra, and its name is resistance to the flow of life. This is the inner conflict between the ego and the soul. The ego is a builder of dams. It constructs elaborate systems of beliefs, plans, expectations, and attachments, all in a futile attempt to control the river and create a predictable, permanent reservoir of security. The soul, however, is a navigator. The soul knows that the river cannot be stopped and that true safety is not found in fighting the current. True safety lies in becoming a master of the water, in learning how to build a raft, how to read the currents, and how to navigate the inevitable rapids with skill, grace, and trust. The ego wants to conquer the river. The soul wants to become one with it. To truly embody this, we embrace the metaphor of the river of life. Imagine life as a vast and powerful river, flowing ever onward. For most of our lives, we have been frantically clinging to the riverbank. We grab onto a tree rooter past memory of a happy time, refusing to let it go. We cling to a sharp rocker past grievance, letting it scrape and wound us as the water rushes by. We exhaust all our energy fighting the natural, inexorable pull of the current. This is suffering. It is painful, tiring, and ultimately useless. Letting go is the conscious choice to release your grip. It is the moment you decide to trust the river. You let go of the branch, turn onto your back, and simply float. The river now carries you. It does not mean the journey will be without challenges. There will be sections of turbulent rapids. These are the difficult times in life. There will be long stretches of calm, deep pools. These are the times of peace. But by choosing to flow with the river instead of fighting it, you move through all of it with a sense of surrender and ease. You are no longer at war with life. You have become its dance partner. This is the essence of the core message. Let life flow through you like a river. Do not cling to the banks. This joy, this pain, this very moment, this too shall pass. Your peace is found not in stopping the river, but in becoming the flow. To cultivate this skill of non-attachment, we can practice a simple yet profound meditation. Let us call it Leaves on a Stream. Find your quiet space and close your eyes. In your mind's eye, create a vivid image of yourself sitting on the lush green bank of a beautiful, gently flowing stream. See the sunlight sparkling on the water's surface. Hear the soft, murmuring sound as it moves past you. Feel the peace of this natural place. Now, turn your attention inward to the stream of your own consciousness. As a thought, a feeling, or a physical sensation arises, your task is to simply acknowledge its presence without getting caught up in it or judging it. When you notice a thought, perhaps a worry about tomorrow, simply see it for what it is. Then imagine gently placing that thought onto a leaf that is floating by on the stream. Watch the leaf as the current catches it. Watch it drift away from you, carrying the thought with it. See it bobbing gently on the water, moving downstream, getting smaller and smaller until it vanishes from your sight. You did not have to force it away. You did not have to struggle with it. You simply placed it on the stream and allowed the natural flow to do the rest. A new thought or feeling will inevitably arise. Perhaps a memory from the past. Acknowledge it. Gently place it on a new leaf and let it go. Watch it float away. A sensation of physical discomfort might appear. Place the sensation on a leaf. Let it go. A feeling of boredom or impatience. Place it on a leaf. Let it go. Your only job is to remain as the still, silent observer on the riverbank, allowing the contents of your consciousness to arise and pass away, without clinging and without aversion. This practice is a direct training in the art of letting go. It shows you, through direct experience, that you are not your thoughts and you are not your feelings. You are the deep, abiding presence that can watch them come and go. It demonstrates the truth of impermanence in a tangible way. Nothing stays unless you hold on to it. Embracing this universal law is the key to a peace that cannot be shaken by circumstance. When you truly understand that everything passes, you can participate in life more fully. You can savor moments of joy without the fear of losing them, because you know they are fleeting gifts. You can endure moments of sorrow without despair, because you know they too are temporary visitors. Letting go is not an act of weakness. It is an act of supreme wisdom. It is not apathy. It is an intelligent alignment with the way things are. By releasing your white-knuckled grip on how you think life should be, you open your hands and your heart to receive life as it actually is, in all of its precious, unpredictable, and ever-flowing mystery. You are no longer the frightened soul clinging to the shore. You are a wise navigator, at home in the current, trusting the great river to carry you exactly where you need to go. Having learned to float in the great river of impermanence, letting go of your resistance to the natural flow of life, you begin to sense an underlying intelligence within the current. The river is not chaotic. It seems to respond to you, to guide you, to teach you. The events of your life are not as random as they once appeared. You are beginning to perceive the workings of a vast and profound universal law, one that has been deeply misunderstood in the modern world. This is the law of karma. To begin, we must shatter the distorted, punitive image of karma that many of us hold. Karma is not a cosmic system of reward and punishment handed down by a judgmental, sky-dwelling deity. The universe is not keeping a moral scorecard of your good and bad deeds to tally up at the end of your life. This idea is a projection of the human ego, with its primitive concepts of crime and punishment. The universe is infinitely more intelligent, elegant, and impersonal than that. The true meaning of karma is simply action or deed. It is the universal law of cause and effect. It is a neutral, impersonal, and flawless feedback system, as fundamental and unbiased as the law of gravity. Gravity does not punish you for stepping off a cliff. It simply responds to your action with a predictable consequence. In the same way, karma does not punish you for emitting an energy of anger or hatred. It simply and unfailingly orchestrates a reality that reflects that energy back to you so you can see, feel, and learn from your own creation. The most powerful metaphor for understanding karma is that of a perfect cosmic mirror. Your outer world, the totality of your life experience, the people you meet, the situations you encounter, the opportunities and challenges that arise as a flawless reflection of your inner world. The mirror does not judge the face it reflects. It does not get angry at a frown or feel joy at a smile. Its only function is to show you with perfect precision, exactly what you are presenting to it. If you approach the mirror with a face contorted in anger, it will show you an angry face. If you approach it with a heart full of love, it will reflect back a loving world. If you do not like the reflection you are seeing in your life, getting angry at the mirror is an act of utter futility. You can scream at it, bargain with it, or shatter it, but it will only ever show you the truth of your own expression. The only way to change the reflection is to change yourself. This is where the vibrational paradigm we explored becomes so critical. The cause in the law of cause and effect is not just your physical actions. More fundamentally, the cause is your state of being. It is your dominant vibrational frequency, the energetic signal you are constantly broadcasting into the universe, which is the sum total of your conscious and subconscious thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. You do not get what you want from the universe. You get what you are. The universe doesn't hear your words. It feels your frequency. The outer effect is the mirror of life reflecting back to you people and circumstances that are a perfect vibrational match for the signal you are emitting. This understanding precipitates a monumental inner conflict, a true turning point for the soul, the shift from victim to creator. The ego lives in the consciousness of the victim. It believes life is a series of external events happening to it. From this perspective, the question is always, why is this happening to me? This question is rooted in blame, powerlessness, and the perception of a hostile, random world. The emerging soul, however, begins to operate from creator consciousness. It sees life as a reflection happening for it. The question transforms into, what is this situation reflecting about me? What is life trying to teach me through this experience? This is a position of radical empowerment and true responsibility, which means the ability to respond. Let it be clear, this is not about blaming yourself for trauma or hardship. It is not about saying you deserved pain. It is about taking 100% responsibility for your current energetic state and your response to everything that happens. The initial event may have been outside your control, but the story you tell about it, the frequency you hold in its aftermath, and the meaning you derive from it are entirely within your power. This is the core message that will set you free. Karma is not your fate. It is your feedback loop for conscious creation. It is not a predetermined destiny you are forced to endure. It is a dynamic, real-time guidance system designed to help you align with your highest truth. The universe is not punishing you or rewarding you. It is simply and lovingly responding to you. To work with this law consciously, we can engage in a practice of courageous self-inquiry, of reverse engineering our reality. Identify a recurring, unwanted pattern in your life. Perhaps it is a cycle of financial struggle, a pattern of attracting partners who betray you, or a repeated experience of being overlooked and undervalued at work. Now, for the purpose of this sacred investigation, consciously suspend all external blame. Let go of the stories about what they did or how the system is unfair. The goal here is not to determine fault, but to discover your own power. With this unwanted situation held in your mind, ask the mirror question with radical, compassionate honesty, looking at this as a perfect, non-judgmental reflection of an inner state. What belief or frequency within me could be contributing to this outer reality? For instance, if the pattern is attracting unavailable partners, the inquiry might be, is there a part of me that believes I am not truly worthy of deep, committed love? Is there a part of me that is, in fact, emotionally unavailable to myself? If the pattern is financial lack, the question could be, do I hold a deep-seated subconscious belief in scarcity? Do I believe that I am not deserving of abundance, or that money is inherently bad or unspiritual? Go deeper. Ask, what is this situation perfectly designed to teach me? Is this pattern of betrayal here to teach me to finally trust my own intuition? Is this experience of being undervalued here to teach me to finally recognize and declare my own worth? Is this financial struggle here to teach me about true abundance, which is not found in money, but in a state of trust and gratitude? This is not an exercise in self-blame, but in profound self-discovery. Be gentle and curious, like a scientist, not a judge. The moment you identify a potential underlying belief, I am not enough, I am not safe, I will be abandoned, you have struck gold. You have stopped trying to polish the reflection in the mirror and have instead found the source of the expression on your own face. The moment you bring this unconscious belief into the light of your awareness, it begins to lose its power. Understanding karma as a mirror is one of the most liberating and empowering steps on the path. It dissolves victimhood and instates you as the sovereign creator of your experience. You realize that nothing is truly against you. Everything is for you. Life is not a battlefield to be survived, but a classroom to be learned from. Every challenge, every person, every moment becomes your teacher, your feedback, your guide. The universe is constantly providing you with a perfect reflection to help you see yourself more clearly, heal what needs healing, and align more fully with the powerful, loving, and magnificent creator that you truly are. You have come to understand karma not as a punitive force, but as a perfect mirror reflecting your inner state back to you. This realization has placed the tools of creation squarely in your hands. You are the artist, and your life is the canvas. But this profound empowerment leads to an even more radical question. If you wish to paint a masterpiece entirely different from what you have painted before, can you continue to be the same artist? If your old reality was a reflection of your old self, then to manifest a new reality, you must have the supreme courage to let the old self die. You must be willing to become nothing. This is perhaps the most frightening and liberating step on the entire spiritual path, the conscious shedding of identity. Your identity, the person you believe yourself to be, is a construct. It is a mosaic assembled from 1,000 different labels. There is the label of your name, your profession, your nationality, your family role as a mother, a father, a son, or a daughter. Then there are the more subtle labels of your personality. I am an introvert. I am a creative person. I am not good with numbers. And deeper still are the identities forged in the fire of your past. I am a survivor. I am a victim. I am the one who was abandoned. I am a recovering addict. Even your most cherished positive identities are part of this construct. I am a good person. I am a successful leader. I am a disciplined meditator. We cling to these positive labels just as tightly as the negative ones because they give our ego a sense of worth and solidity. But they are all cages, nonetheless. To identify as successful is to live in the constant, low-grade fear of failure. To identify as strong is to deny yourself the grace of vulnerability. To identify as spiritual is to create a subtle pride that separates you from others. Every label, no matter how beautiful, is a limitation. It is a box drawn around the infinite potential of your being. The ancient sages of India had a term for the process of seeing through these labels. Neti, neti. It means not this, not this. It is a path of negation, a peeling away of all that is false to reveal the truth that lies beneath. You look at your body and say, I have a body, but I am not my body. I am the awareness that experiences the body. You look at your thoughts. I have thoughts, but I am not my thoughts. I am the silent space in which thoughts arise and fall. You look at your profession. I have a career, but I am not my career. You look at your most painful memory. I have this memory, but I am not this memory. One by one, you negate every label, every definition, until the mind asks in terror, then what is left? This is the great inner conflict, the ego's ultimate confrontation with the void. As you begin to release your grip on your identities, you may feel a sense of spiritual vertigo. The ego screams in protest, for its entire existence is based on these definitions. If I am not my achievements, my failures, my history, my relationships, then I am nothing. To the ego, this nothingness is synonymous with annihilation. It is the death it fears above all else. And so it will fight, it will grasp, it will try to pull you back into the familiar story of you. But the soul understands a different truth. The soul knows that this nothingness, the ego fears, is not an empty void of non-existence. It is a nothingness. It is a state of pure, formless potential. It is the fertile emptiness of the unpainted canvas, the silent stillness of the uncarved stone. It is the womb of all creation. The ego fears this space because it cannot define or control it. The soul rejoices in this space because it recognizes it as its true home, a field of infinite possibility. The core message and the guiding metaphor for this stage is this: your true nature is formless, like water. Do not insist on staying frozen in the rigid shape of an ice cube. The ego self, your personality, is the ice cube. It was formed and shaped by the cold conditioning of your past. It is solid, defined, and appears separate from everything else. Your true nature, the witness, is like water. It is fluid, adaptable, soft, and yet immensely powerful. It can take on the shape of any container it is poured into, but it is never defined by it. The purpose of this journey is not to polish the ice cube or give it a better shape. It is to have the courage to allow the ice cube of your personality self to melt, to release its rigid definition, and to merge back into the vast, warm ocean of universal being. The ego fears this as death. The soul knows it as liberation. The courage to be nothing is the key to becoming everything. To practice this profound act of release, we will use a meditation of ceremonial shedding. Let us call it the shedding of the coats. Find your quiet space. Imagine yourself standing in the center of a vast, still, and silent room. Become aware that you are wearing a great number of heavy coats, layered one on top of the other, weighing you down. Now, bring your attention to the outermost coat. See that it has a label stitched onto it, perhaps with the name of your profession or your primary role in life, like doctor, artist, or mother. Feel the weight of this coat, the expectations and responsibilities that come with it. With a conscious and deliberate intention, ceremonially shrug this coat from your shoulders. Watch it fall to the floor with a soft thud. As it lands, feel a layer of that identity and its accompanying weight fall away from you. Acknowledge the truth. I perform the role of a doctor, but I am not that role. Beneath it lies another coat. Its label might read anxious person, people pleaser, or angry person. See it clearly. Feel how it has constricted your movements, how it has dictated your reactions for years. With a deep breath of release, take this coat off and let it drop to the floor beside the first one. Feel the space that opens up. Continue this process. Go deeper. Beneath that is the coat of your family identity. Good daughter, black sheep, responsible son. Off with it. Let it fall. Deeper still is the coat of your history. Survivor, victim, one who failed. Take it off. It is not you. It is a story you wore. Let it go. Take off the coat of your nationality, your political party, your most cherished beliefs. Even take off the coat labeled spiritual person or seeker. See that this too is another subtle identity, another box. One by one, let them all fall away. Continue until you are standing in your pure, naked essence, unlabeled, unadorned, untouched by any definition. Feel the profound lightness. Feel the cool air on your skin. Feel the silent, vibrant power of this state of no-thingness. There is no history here. There is no future. There is only the simple, luminous, and boundless presence of being. This is your original face, before you were given a name, before the world told you who you were. This is not just a visualization, it is a profound spiritual practice. It loosens the subconscious grip of your identities. It allows you to wear the various roles you must play in life with a new lightness as temporary costumes, without ever again mistaking them for your true skin. The courage to be nothing is the final act of surrender that leads to ultimate freedom. As long as you cling to the identity of the ice cube, you can only experience the limited life of a small, separate block of ice. But when you have the courage to let go of that definition, to melt into the formless mystery of your own being, you become one with the ocean. You gain the power of the water itself, the power to nourish, to cleanse, to flow, to overcome all obstacles, not with force, but with surrender. By shedding the heavy weight of who you think you are, you finally create the empty space for the universe to reveal to you who you truly are, a limitless, magnificent, and utterly free expression of itself. Having had the courage to become nothing, to shed the heavy coats of your constructed identity, you now stand in a state of profound openness. This emptiness is not a void, it is a vessel. This silence is not an absence. It is a state of supreme receptivity. And when the loud, insistent monologue of the ego finally quiets down, you begin to hear a much more subtle, elegant, and profound conversation that has been happening all along. You begin to hear the universe whisper. This is the magical language of synchronicity. Synchronicity, a term beautifully coined by the psychologist Carl Jung, describes the phenomenon of meaningful coincidence. It is that uncanny, electrifying moment when an event in the outer world perfectly aligns with an inner state of consciousness, a thought, a question, or a feeling in a way that feels too significant, too personal, to be the result of mere random chance. It is the universe winking at you. You have surely felt this. It is thinking of an old friend you haven't spoken to in a decade, only to have them call you 2 minutes later. It is grappling with a difficult decision, feeling completely lost, and then a book falls off a shelf, opening to a page that contains the very answer you were seeking. It is noticing the same unusual word, symbol, or number appearing repeatedly throughout your day, almost as if it were a signpost. It is overhearing a stranger's conversation on a bus that speaks directly to the core of a problem you have been wrestling with in private. The key ingredient in these moments is not just the coincidence itself, but the accompanying inner feeling, a jolt of recognition, a shiver down your spine, a deep, intuitive knowing that this is not random. This is a message. Why does the universe communicate in this cryptic, poetic way? Because it is the language of the soul, not the language of the ego. The ego wants a 5-year plan, a logical proof, a detailed instruction manual. The soul, your deeper intelligence, communicates through feeling, symbol, intuition, and metaphor. Synchronicity is a bridge between these two worlds. It is the universe arranging the physical world in a symbolic pattern that your soul can understand, bypassing the skeptical, rational mind. It is the outer world confirming an inner truth that is just beginning to blossom within you. It is a loving affirmation that you are not alone, that you are part of a larger, intelligent, and responsive whole. As you begin to notice these events more often, an inner conflict will likely arise. It is the classic battle between the skeptic and the mystic within you. The skeptic, the voice of your conditioned, rational mind, will rush in to dismiss the experience. It's just a coincidence, it will say. You're engaging in confirmation bias. You're seeing patterns where none exist because you want to see them. This is the mind's desperate attempt to maintain its worldview of a dead, mechanical, and meaningless universe, a world it believes it understands and can control. But the mystic, the voice of your intuitive heart, feels something entirely different. It feels wonder. It feels a sense of enchantment, of being part of a magical conversation. It doesn't need logical proof. because the feeling of significance, of rightness, is its own evidence. Your spiritual work is not to silence the skeptic, let it have its say, like a nervous old professor, but to learn to give more weight to the wisdom of the mystic. It is the choice to trust the deep resonance of your heart over the fearful arguments of your head. This leads us to a new core message and metaphor. The universe is always speaking to you. You just have to learn how to listen. Imagine the universe is a grand radio station, continuously broadcasting on an extremely subtle frequency. The broadcast is one of love, guidance, and support. For most of our lives, our own internal radio receiver is tuned to the frequency of the ego, which is full of loud, chaotic static, the noise of worry, planning, resentment, and self-criticism. We can't hear the beautiful music because our own static is drowning it out. All the spiritual practices we have discussed, sitting with the fire, letting go, shedding identity, finding solitude, are acts of tuning your radio. You are patiently turning the dial, quieting your personal static, and aligning your receiver with the clear, subtle frequency of the cosmos. Synchronicity is the first moment you hear the music. It was always playing, you just weren't tuned in. So how do you become a better listener? How do you tune your radio more effectively? You do it not through striving, but through a gentle, open receptivity. You can practice this with a simple, two-part intention. First, in the morning, instead of praying for specific outcomes, try setting a gentle invitation. You might say, silently or aloud, "Universe, Source, my deeper self, I am open today. I am listening. Please show me a sign that I am on the right path. Please guide my awareness to what I need to see." The crucial next step is to then completely let go of it. Do not go on a desperate hunt for signs. This needy, grasping energy will only create more static. Simply go about your day with an attitude of relaxed, curious observation. Be open to being surprised. Second, begin to keep a synchronicity journal. This is not a detailed diary. It is a simple logbook. At the end of the day, take just 2 or 3 minutes to jot down any meaningful coincidences you noticed. Heard the word phoenix 3 times today while thinking about my new beginning. Saw a hawk circle overhead right after making a big decision. The lyrics of the song playing in the cafe felt like they were written just for me. Do not overanalyze them in the moment. The simple act of writing them down is an act of validation. It is you saying to the universe, "I heard that. I am paying attention. Thank you." This act of grateful attention tells the universe you are ready for a clearer conversation. Over time, as you look back through your journal, you will be astonished to see the undeniable threads of guidance, the recurring themes, and the beautiful tapestry of communication that has been woven through your life. This practice fundamentally changes your relationship with reality. The feeling of being a small, separate being, struggling alone in a random universe, begins to dissolve. It is replaced by a profound and comforting sense of being in a constant, loving dialogue with an unseen intelligence. Life transforms from a monologue of your own mind into a rich conversation with mystery. You are no longer stumbling blindly in the dark. You are following a trail of luminous breadcrumbs left for you with infinite love to guide you on your journey home. This growing sense of being seen, heard, and guided by the cosmos is the foundation for the next monumental shift in perspective. The shift from seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances to realizing you are the conscious alchemist of your own life. You have learned to quiet your mind in solitude, to hear the subtle whispers of synchronicity, to feel the universe communicating with you as a benevolent and intelligent partner. This growing awareness of being in a constant, loving dialogue with life plants the seed of a revolutionary new identity. If the universe is responding to you, guiding you, and speaking to you, then you cannot be a mere pawn in its game. You are its creative collaborator. This is the moment you stop watching the play of your life from the audience and you walk onto the stage to become its conscious director. This is the sacred, empowering shift from the consciousness of the victim to the consciousness of the alchemist. For most of our lives, we operate from the victim mindset, often without realizing it. The central question of the victim is, why is this happening to me? It is a question that arises from a feeling of powerlessness. It presumes a hostile or at best indifferent universe, and it perpetually seeks a source of blame outside of oneself, another person, a cruel fate, an unjust society. This mindset, while understandable, keeps you trapped in a cycle of resentment and helplessness. The alchemist asks a fundamentally different set of questions. When faced with the very same challenge, the alchemist asks, how is this happening for me, and what can I create from this? This is not a denial of the pain. The alchemist feels the heat of the fire just as acutely as the victim, but instead of seeing the fire as a destructive force, the alchemist sees it as a transformative one. This shift in questioning, from to me to for me, is the single most powerful leap of consciousness you can make. It is the key that turns the lead of suffering into the gold of wisdom. The ancient alchemists sought the philosopher's stone, a mythical substance that could transmute base metals like lead into pure gold. This quest was not merely a primitive form of chemistry, it was a profound spiritual metaphor. Your life is the alchemist's laboratory. Your painful experiences, your traumas, your failures, your heartbreaks, your deepest wounds, these are not mistakes or punishments. They are the prima materia, the base matter. They are the lead. To the untrained eye, lead is dull, heavy, and worthless. But the alchemist knows it is the essential raw ingredient, for it contains the hidden potential for gold. The fire in the laboratory is your own conscious, loving awareness, the presence you have cultivated through all these practices. The alchemical process is the act of intentionally applying the fire of your awareness to the lead of your suffering. This perspective will ignite a powerful inner conflict. The ego is deeply attached to the victim identity. The victim story is clear, it is simple, and it has its own perverse comforts. It provides you with a solid identity. It can garner sympathy and attention. Most importantly, it absolves you of responsibility. I cannot live my dream life, the victim says, because of what happened to me. To step into the role of the alchemist is to relinquish all excuses. It is to accept the immense responsibility that comes with creative power. If you are the alchemist, you can no longer blame your raw materials. You must take what you have been given, all of it, the beautiful and the terribly, and create something of value. The ego fears this responsibility more than anything. The soul craves it more than anything. The conflict is between the familiar comfort of your chains and the terrifying freedom of your own power. This brings us to the core message of this transformation. The philosopher's stone is not a myth. It is a state of consciousness. It is your own awareness, applied with love and intention, that can transmute the heavy lead of your personal suffering into the radiant gold of wisdom, compassion, and purpose. Your greatest pain is not an obstacle on your path, it is the path itself. The wound is not what prevents you from fulfilling your purpose. The wound, when transmuted, becomes your purpose. To engage in this sacred work, we can use a practice of deep inquiry. Let us call it the alchemical questions. This is best done as a journaling practice, a dialogue with your wisest self. First, choose your lead. Bring to mind a significant challenge from your past, a failure, a loss, a betrayal, a period of profound struggle. It is best to choose a wound that has already begun to scar over, one you can look at with a degree of emotional distance. Do not start with the most raw, acute trauma. Second, honor the pain. Before you attempt to transform anything, acknowledge the reality of the experience. Write down, this was hard, this was painful, I honor the part of me that endured this. Do not spiritually bypass the genuine human hurt. Now, begin the alchemy. Ask the first question with genuine curiosity. What positive quality, strength, or virtue was I forced to develop in myself as a direct result of this painful experience? Did a profound betrayal force you to develop radical self-reliance and to finally trust your own intuition? Did a devastating failure forge in you a deep humility and compassion for the struggles of others? Did a period of loneliness teach you the beauty of your own company? Look for the strength that was born only because of the intense pressure and heat. This is the first glint of gold in the lead. Next, ask the second question. What did this experience teach me about life, myself, or others that I could have learned in no other way? Perhaps it taught you the true meaning of resilience. Perhaps it taught you who your real friends are. Perhaps it shattered a naive worldview and replaced it with a more profound and realistic wisdom. This is the pure, refined wisdom extracted from the raw ore of your experience. Finally, ask the great alchemical question: how can I now consciously take this lead, this hard-won strength, and this specific wisdom and use it to create gold in my life and in the world? This is the question that transforms you from a passive survivor into an active creator. The gold you create is almost always an act of service, connection, or creativity. Could you use the compassion forged in your suffering to support someone who is now going through a similar fire? Could you use the wisdom you gained from your failure to mentor someone and help them avoid the same pitfalls? Could you transform your story of pain into a work of art, a book, a song, a painting that touches the hearts of others and makes them feel less alone? Could you start a business, a foundation, or a community project that provides the very solution you so desperately needed when you were in the depths of your own struggle? This process reframes your entire life story. Your past is no longer a catalogue of wounds that hold you back. It becomes your unique curriculum, the specific training you needed to develop your greatest gifts. Your scars cease to be marks of shame. They become your credentials, proof of your mastery. You are no longer defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you have created from it. This is the essence of spiritual maturity. It is the end of waiting for life to be different and the beginning of working with life exactly as it is. It is the realization that the universe has not been withholding from you, but has in fact been providing you with the perfect, bespoke set of raw materials needed to forge your own unique soul purpose. In the heart of your deepest leaden pain lies the brilliant, shining gold of your greatest gift to the world. By choosing to become the alchemist, you are no longer simply a character being guided by the story. You have become a conscious author of the story itself, a source of light and transformation for yourself and for all who cross your path. As you embrace your role as the alchemist of your life, transmuting the lead of your pain into the gold of your wisdom, you come to a profound understanding. No raw material can be discarded. To create the true philosopher's stone, the consciousness of wholeness, you cannot work only with the ingredients you find pleasing. You must have the courage to unlock the dusty, hidden cellar of your psyche and work with the most volatile, potent, and misunderstood elements of your being. You must turn to face the darkness within. This is the sacred art of integrating your shadow. The shadow, a concept brought into the light by the great psychologist Carl Jung, is the disowned part of yourself. It is a vast, hidden container within your personality where you have cast away every aspect of your being that you were taught was unacceptable, shameful, or bad. Think back to your childhood. Were you told not to be angry? Your righteous anger went into the shadow. Were you shamed for being selfish? Your capacity for healthy self-interest went into the shadow. Your untamed creativity, your raw sexuality, your deep need for rest, Your competitive drive, any part of your authentic self that was not met with love and acceptance by your family or society, was relegated to this inner darkness. But here is a crucial secret. The shadow does not only contain the negative, it also contains your golden shadow, the parts of your brilliance you disowned because they made others uncomfortable. Perhaps your radiant confidence was called arrogance, so you learned to play small. Perhaps your joyful, boisterous nature was called too much, so you learned to be quiet. Your profound sensitivity, your fierce ambition, your unique genius, if these qualities threatened the status quo, you may have packed them away into the shadow to ensure your safety and belonging. What we repress does not disappear. It operates from the darkness, projecting itself outward onto the world. This is the fundamental mechanism of the shadow. What you cannot see and own in yourself, you will hate and judge in others. The man who is militantly critical of others' laziness is often the one who is mercilessly driving himself, repressing his own desperate need for rest. The woman who is disgusted by another's attention-seeking behavior may be sitting on a volcano of her own unexpressed creativity and desire to be seen. The person you judge most harshly is a distorted mirror, showing you the very part of yourself you have refused to look at. Their behavior is a trigger, and the trigger is a sacred clue, pointing you back to the lost fragments of your own soul. This is the great inner conflict between the spiritual ego and the whole soul. The spiritual ego wants to be pure. It wants to be all light, all love, all peace. It strives to create a sanitized, perfect self-image, and it uses spiritual concepts to bypass the messy, difficult, and beautiful work of being fully human. It meditates to avoid its anger. It talks of oneness to avoid setting boundaries. It forces a smile to mask its grief. This is a dead end. The soul does not yearn for purity. It yearns for wholeness. It knows that true power, authenticity, and enlightenment do not come from amputating the parts of ourselves we deem unworthy, but from having the courage to embrace and integrate them all. This leads us to a core message that shatters spiritual illusions. True enlightenment is not about becoming only light. It is about becoming so luminous that you are no longer afraid of your own darkness. It is about becoming whole. Think of a great, ancient tree. It cannot grow tall and strong, its branches reaching for the sun, unless it has an equally vast and powerful root system anchoring it deep into the darkness of the earth. To attempt to be all light, all branches, is to become a shallow, rootless thing, easily toppled by the first storm of life. Your shadow is your root system. It contains your power, your stability, your connection to the primal, instinctual wisdom of the earth. To deny your roots is to deny your strength. Or consider the full moon. It is only full because it allows the sun of consciousness to illuminate its entire face, including the side that was once in darkness. To become a full human being, you must have the courage to turn your own hidden aspects toward the light of your loving awareness, not to annihilate them, but to welcome them into the wholeness of your being. How do we begin this courageous work? We start by reclaiming our projections. This is a practice of radical self-honesty. First, identify a trigger. Think of a person, either in your personal life or a public figure, who consistently elicits a strong negative emotional charge in you. This is not mild dislike. This is a visceral reaction, intense irritation, judgment, envy, righteousness, or even disgust. Second, name the specific trait. What is it about this person that provokes you? Be precise. Is it their arrogance, their weakness, their loudness, their victim mentality, their unapologetic ambition? Isolate the quality that acts as the hook. Third, ask the mirror question. Take a deep breath, suspend all judgment of the other person, and turn your gaze inward. Ask with genuine, compassionate curiosity, where does this trait live in me? Look for it in a few key places. Do you express a version of this same trait, but call it something different? For example, do you judge their arrogance but call your own version justified confidence? Or have you gone to the opposite extreme? Do you judge their selfishness because you are a chronic people pleaser who never attends to your own needs? And most powerfully, ask yourself, is this trait something I secretly long to express but have forbidden myself? Do I envy their freedom to be arrogant, powerful, attention-seeking, creatively expressed, or selfish, self-loving? The goal of this inquiry is not to start acting out your negative shadow traits. It is to withdraw the energetic and emotional charge from them. It is to bring the disowned part home. When you can acknowledge, yes, there is a part of me that is capable of envy, the envy loses its secret power over you. When you can admit, yes, there is a part of me that is ruthlessly ambitious, you can begin to harness that energy consciously and ethically instead of having it leak out sideways. When you can look at the person who once triggered you and feel a sense of neutrality or even compassion, you know the integration has happened. You have taken back your power. This work is the heart of true alchemy. It is where you find your lost gold. The energy you have been expending for decades to repress these parts of yourself to hold the beach ball underwater is immense. When you integrate a shadow aspect, all of that energy is liberated and becomes available to you as vitality, creativity, and presence. Your repressed anger becomes the fuel for healthy boundaries and social justice. Your repressed grief becomes the wellspring of deep compassion. Your repressed golden shadow emerges as your unique gift to the world. This is not a one-time fix, but a lifelong practice of deepening honesty and wholeness. It is the path away from being a caricature of a good person and toward becoming a complete, authentic, and integrated human being. You finally realize that the holiness you were seeking was never in an imagined state of purity. It was in your wholeness all along. The dark, messy, and disowned parts of you were never your enemies. They were your abandoned children, holding your greatest treasures, just waiting for you to have the courage to come home and claim them. You have journeyed further inward than most dare to go. You have faced the fire of your pain, deconstructed the prison of your stories, and stood in the courageous emptiness of your true nature. You have worked with the lead of your past in the alchemist's lab and begun the sacred work of integrating your shadow. You stand now in a state of profound wholeness, a feeling of clarity and peace you may have never thought possible. And it is right here, at this peak of understanding, that the ego will lay its most subtle and dangerous trap. It will whisper in your ear, "You've done it. You have arrived. You are awakened." It will tempt you to build a monument on this spot, to declare victory and put down your tools. But your soul knows the truth. This is not the destination. This is the true starting line. The insights you have gained are not a graduation certificate. They are your instructions for the real work, the work that begins now. This is the discipline of presence. Our culture is obsessed with the fantasy of the singular, explosive event. We want the overnight success, the lottery win, the magic pill. We project this fantasy onto the spiritual path, craving a one-time dramatic awakening, a lightning bolt of Satori, a kundalini explosion that will permanently catapult us into a state of perpetual bliss. While profound peak experiences of insight are real and can be powerful catalysts, clinging to them as a final goal is an egoic delusion. A glimpse of the mountaintop is not the same as living there. The true journey, the one of lasting substance, is the patient, step-by-step climb. And that climb is made of the simple, often unglamorous, moment-to-moment choice to be present. Awakening is not an event. It is a discipline. It is the ongoing practice of bringing the vast, silent, whole awareness you have discovered into the small, ordinary, and often messy moments of your actual life. The grandest philosophical realization is utterly useless if it does not change the way you wash the dishes. In fact, washing the dishes becomes the practice. Feeling the warm water on your hands, seeing the iridescent bubbles, hearing the clink of porcelanto, be fully present for these simple sensations is enlightenment in action. Truly, listening to a friend without planning your response is the practice. Feeling your feet connect with the earth as you walk to your car is the practice. The divine is not hiding on a remote mountaintop or in an ancient scripture. It is waiting for you, disguised as your ordinary life. This reveals a new inner conflict, the battle between the grandiose and the humble. The ego loves spiritual drama. It loves the story of the dark night and the epic breakthrough. It loves to talk about complex metaphysical concepts. It finds the mundane boring beneath its newfound spiritual status. But the soul knows that the universe's greatest secrets are hidden in plain sight. The soul finds profundity in the simplicity of a single, conscious breath. It understands that the disciplined consistency of small, present moments is infinitely more powerful than the sporadic pursuit of grand, transcendent experiences. The ego wants to talk about presence. The soul commits to the humble, daily work of being present. We must therefore reframe our understanding with a new metaphor. Your consciousness is a garden. The powerful insights you've gained are like the initial, joyful day of turning the soil and planting the seeds. It is a wonderful and necessary beginning, but if you walk away and never return, the garden will be reclaimed by weeds and the seeds will wither. The true beauty and nourishment of the garden come from the daily discipline of tending to it, watering, of weeding, of protecting it from pests. This daily tending is your practice of presence. It is what allows the seeds of your awakening to grow into strong, fruit-bearing plants. Or think of it like physical fitness. You do not go to the gym once, have an intense workout, and declare yourself fit for life. Your strength and health are a direct result of the consistent, disciplined practice of showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. Presence is the daily workout for your soul. It is the practice that builds and maintains the muscle of your awareness. So how do we practice this in a world that is designed to pull us away from the present moment at every turn? We do not need to retreat to a monastery. We simply need to build a gentle scaffolding of presence within the structure of our existing life. This can be built on 3 simple pillars. First, the morning anchor. Before the world rushes in, before the demands and notifications begin, before you pick up your phone and give your energy away, claim the first few minutes of the day as sacred. This is non-negotiable. It could be 10 minutes of silent meditation. It could be writing 1 page in a journal, a stream of consciousness to clear your mind. It could be the simple act of making and drinking a cup of tea or coffee with no other distractions, just feeling the warmth of the mug, smelling the aroma, and looking out the window. This practice anchors you in the stillness of your own being before you engage with the chaos of the world. It sets the energetic tone for your entire day. Second, micro-dosing presence. The idea that you need an hour-long meditation session every day can be daunting and lead to an all-or-nothing mentality. Instead, sprinkle tiny moments of presence throughout your day. Choose your own bells of mindfulness, recurring, mundane events that can act as a signal to wake up. Perhaps every time you stop at a red light, it is your cue to take 1 deep, conscious breath. Every time you wait for a kettle to boil or a computer to load, it is your cue to feel your feet firmly planted on the floor. Every time you walk through a doorway, it is your cue to come back into your body and out of the stories in your head. These 1-breath meditations, these 3-second check-ins, when repeated dozens of times a day, are profoundly transformative. They are threads of gold that you weave into the fabric of the ordinary, turning the whole tapestry sacred. Third, the evening release. Just as you begin the day with intention, end it with intention. Before you fall asleep, take a few minutes to consciously release the day. This could be a mental review, letting go of any resentments or worries that are still clinging to you. You can visualize placing the day's events in a box and setting it aside. It could be the simple practice of naming 3 things you were grateful for during the day, no matter how small. This act of conscious closure prevents the psychic residue of one day from bleeding into the next. It allows you to enter the restorative state of sleep with a clear and peaceful mind, trusting that you have done what you could for the day, and it is now complete. These small, consistent practices are the embodiment of your awakening. They are how your profound realizations become your lived reality. They create a structure of grace that supports your consciousness, making you less likely to be hijacked by the mindless momentum of habit and anxiety. This is where the spiritual journey leaves the realm of thrilling concepts and becomes intimate, real, and sustainable. This is you, tending to your own sacred garden day after day. This disciplined, humble presence is what allows you to not just understand your new, higher frequency, but to truly and consistently embody it, changing not only your inner world, but how you show up in the world itself. The disciplined, daily practice of presence is the act of tending to a sacred flame within you. At first, this flame may seem small, delicate, and easily disturbed by the winds of habit and the storms of life. But as you gently and consistently return your attention to it, moment by moment, breath by breath, it grows in strength and stability. It ceases to be a flickering candle and becomes a steady, powerful, and self-luminous blaze. This inner fire begins to radiate outward, not through effort, but by its very nature. It changes not just how you perceive the world, but how the world perceives and responds to you. You begin to truly and consistently embody the new frequency you have cultivated. This embodiment is a subtle but total transformation. It is not something you do, but something you become. You notice a new quality of stillness that underlies all your activity. Your movements become more graceful and deliberate, less hurried and reactive. Your speech slows down. Your words carry more weight and resonance because they arise from a place of inner quiet, not anxious thought. Even your silences become different. They are no longer awkward voids to be filled, but rich, communicative spaces of peaceful presence. People may begin to comment on it. They might say, "There's something calm about you," or "I feel so at ease when I'm around you." They are responding to the change in your energetic field. The most profound shift happens in your energetic relationship with the world. You cease to be a sponge. For most of your life, you may have unknowingly absorbed the moods and anxieties of those around you, feeling drained after social interactions or depleted by the negativity of the news. Now, you find that your own stable, high-frequency field acts as a gentle, protective shield. The negativity of others no longer penetrates and destabilizes you in the same way. Instead of being a sponge, you become more like a tuning fork. Your consistent inner state of peace and coherence emits a clear, steady vibration. And just as striking one tuning fork can cause another nearby to vibrate at the same frequency, your presence can subconsciously invite others to resonate with the peace that is also within them. Of course, this new state will be tested. This is the great inner conflict of the embodied path, maintaining your center in a world that is constantly trying to pull you off it. You will walk into a family gathering, and the old dynamics, the deep grooves of past conditioning, will tug at you. A critical comment may spark the familiar flash of defensiveness. A loved one's distress may trigger the old codependent impulse to frantically try and fix their feelings. The difference is this: now you see it happening. The unmoved witness you have cultivated allows you to observe the pull of the old reactive pattern as it arises. You feel the temptation, the adrenaline, the tightening in your chest, but you are no longer a slave to it. You are the space in which the reaction is happening. And because you are the space, You have a choice. You can choose to take a breath. You can choose to remain anchored in the peaceful stillness of your core, even as the storm of another's emotion or your own swirls around you. The conflict between the habit of reactivity and the discipline of presence becomes the central practice of your embodied life. This is the point at which you graduate from being a seeker of the light to being a source of the light. It is a fundamental shift in your purpose here. The core message becomes this: you no longer seek the light. You are the light. Your only task is to shine. To fully understand this new role, embrace the metaphor of the lighthouse. A lighthouse does not run all over the island, frantically searching for ships to save. It does not shout directions across the waves or despair over the ships that choose to sail in another direction. The lighthouse has only one simple and profoundly powerful function: to stand firmly on its foundation and to shine its light steadily and reliably. It is not attached to outcomes. It shines for all ships, impartially. Its job is not to save, but to serve by being a stable, luminous, and trustworthy reference point in the darkness. By simply being itself, it empowers lost ships to find their own way to safe harbor. This is who you are becoming. The ego, even the spiritual ego, wants to be the hero, the rescuer, running around trying to fix everyone, often to validate its own worth. This is the path of burnout and enmeshment. The soul understands the wisdom of the lighthouse. Its service is in its being. Its power is in its stability. To practice this in your daily life, you can adopt the simple discipline of conscious interaction. Before you enter a situation that you know may be energetically challenging, a tense meeting at work, a holiday dinner with difficult relatives, a conversation with a perpetually negative friend, take 30 seconds for yourself. Stop outside the door, in your car, or in the restroom. Close your eyes. Feel your feet on the ground, connecting you to the earth. Take 3 deep breaths and connect with the quiet, still, peaceful witness within. This is you, the lighthouse keeper, checking your connection to your foundation. Then, set a clear, silent, vibrational intention. This is not about controlling the outcome of the meeting or forcing the other person to change. It is about taking full responsibility for the energy you are about to bring into the room. Your intention might be, "My purpose here is to be a peaceful presence," or "I will hold my center, regardless of the chaos around me," or "I choose to listen with compassion without taking on the burden of fixing." Then, as you engage in the interaction, practice being the lighthouse. When the winds of argument begin to howl, when the waves of another's anxiety begin to crash, bring a part of your awareness back to your anchor. Feel your breath. Feel your feet on the floor. You can still participate. You can still speak. You can still listen. But a part of you remains rooted in your own silent foundation, steadily shining the light of your calm presence into the space. The effect of this is miraculous. When you hold a stable frequency of peace, you change the energetic geometry of any room you enter. You do not have to say a word about it. Others feel it subconsciously. Arguments that might have escalated may fizzle out. Anxious people may find themselves speaking more slowly. Your non-reactive presence gives others the unspoken permission to find their own center. You are not giving them your peace. Your peace is simply reminding them of the peace that already exists within them. This is the beautiful fruition of all your inner work. It is the point where your personal healing becomes an impersonal gift to the world. You are no longer living a life defined by your reactions to external events. You are now a conscious contributor to the energetic quality of life itself. By focusing only on tending to your own inner light, by keeping your own frequency clear and bright through the humble daily discipline of presence, you naturally and effortlessly become a beacon for others. You have become the lighthouse. Your only job now is to shine. You stand now as the lighthouse, your foundation firm on the bedrock of your own being, your light shining steadily into the world. From this high, peaceful vantage point, you can look back. You can see the entire coastline of the journey you have traveled. You see the treacherous, rocky shores where you felt lost, the violent seas of emotion you navigated, the long, dark nights of the soul you endured. And from this place of profound peace, you are ready for the final, most liberating realization of all. You are ready to understand the true nature of the doorway itself. Throughout this entire journey, we have operated on a subtle, unspoken assumption. We believed that the pain, the wound, the trauma was an obstacle. We saw it as a terrible roadblock that we had to find a way around, a problem we had to solve, a sickness we had to cure so that we could then find the path to awakening. We sought a key to unlock a door that would lead us away from our suffering. Now, in the clarity of your embodied presence, you see the breathtaking, simple, and revolutionary truth. The pain was never the obstacle. The pain was the path. You were never trying to get to the doorway. You were standing in it the whole time. The precise shape of your deepest wound was the exact template for the key that would unlock your soul. The specific nature of your core pain was the custom-made entryway into your own divinity. The universe did not hand you a generic key. It handed you a highly specific, intricate lock, your unique suffering, and the process of learning to open that lock was the journey itself. The famous mystic Rumi wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." We can now take this even further. The wound is the place where you discover that you are the light. The breakdown was not a detour. It was the demolition of a false structure, revealing the sacred ground you were always standing upon. This final realization may bring up the last vestiges of the ego's resistance. A subtle, whispering voice may still remain, the ghost of the victim, that says, "Yes, I have learned so much, and I am grateful for who I am now, but I still wish that terrible thing had never happened. I still wish my path could have been easier." This is the mind's final plea to have reality be different than it was. It is the last sigh of resentment for the perfection of your own curriculum. But the soul, seeing the whole tapestry, feels something entirely different. The soul is flooded with a profound, unshakable gratitude for every single step of the journey, especially the most painful ones. It is not a forced gratitude, not a spiritual platitude. It is a deep, systemic knowing that without that specific catalyst, without that exact degree of pressure, the diamond of your current consciousness could never have been formed. The soul understands that the person you were before the wound could never have known the peace, wisdom, and compassion you know now. From this perspective, you would not trade your journey for anything. The pain was not a price you had to pay. It was the initiation fee into a deeper, more authentic life. A beautiful metaphor for this process is the oyster and the pearl. A pearl is born from an irritation. A grain of sand, an unwelcome intruder, gets inside the oyster's shell, causing it agitation and pain. The oyster's response to this wound is not to curse the sand or try to eject it. Its response is an act of profound creation. It begins to secrete, layer by luminous layer, a beautiful, healing substance called nacre. It lovingly coats the source of its irritation. Over years, this patient, creative process transforms the agitator into the most beautiful and valuable thing the oyster can produce, a radiant pearl. The wound, the initial irritant, becomes the very heart of the gem. Your spiritual journey has been this process. Your wound was the grain of sand. Your practice, the awareness, the self-compassion, the presence, the forgiveness has been the luminous nacre you have lovingly wrapped around it. Your suffering has not been meaningless. It has been the seed of your own beauty. This is the ultimate core message, the truth that ties our entire journey together. The pain was not a punishment, it was an initiation. The suffering was not a cosmic mistake. It was a sacred invitation. The wound was not the locked gate. It was the doorway itself. Let us now seal this understanding with a final sacred practice. A pilgrimage of gratitude, walking back through the landscape of your own healing, not to relive the pain, but to honor the path and to thank the guides. From your high lighthouse of presence, close your eyes. Let us walk back in time. Go back to that version of you who first acknowledged the immense pain you were carrying. See their courage. Bow to them in your heart and say, "Thank you for being brave enough to stop running." Go back to the version of you who sat with the fire of raw emotion, terrified but willing. Honor their resilience. Whisper, "Thank you for not flinching from the fire." Visit yourself at the moment of hitting rock bottom. See the version of you who was shattered, lost, and felt utterly hopeless. Do not pity them. See them with reverence. Theirs was the great surrender that made all of this possible. Bow to them and say, "Thank you for letting go. Your breakdown was my breakthrough." See the alchemist in you, asking the hard questions, transmuting lead into gold. Thank them for their wisdom. See the warrior of light, cutting the cords of resentment. Thank them for choosing freedom. See the naked, courageous soul shedding the heavy coats of identity. Thank them for choosing the void of possibility. Now, go back further still. Go back to the original wound itself, the inciting incident, the betrayal, the loss, the failure, the moment that broke you open. Look upon it not with the eyes of a victim, but with the eyes of the pearl maker. See this event, this person, this circumstance, not as your enemy, but as the grain of sand. See it as the uninvited teacher, the angel in disguise who knocked so loudly on your door that it forced you to wake up. And from the deepest, most authentic place in your heart, let a feeling of profound, mysterious gratitude arise and whisper, "Thank you for all of it. Thank you for being the doorway." This final act of gratitude integrates your entire past. It dissolves the last remaining pockets of why me and transforms your personal history from a tragic story of suffering into a heroic epic of soul-making. You see with perfect clarity that nothing was wasted. Every tear watered the garden of your heart. Every struggle strengthened the muscle of your soul. Every dark night allowed you to see the stars more clearly. The pain was the pressure that turned the carbon of your old self into the diamond you have become. You are not just the alchemist who creates the gold. You are the gold itself, made more luminous and valuable because of the fire you so gracefully endured. There is an ancient Japanese art form called kintsugi, which means to join with gold. When a precious piece of pottery breaks, the artisans do not try to hide the cracks or glue the pieces back together seamlessly. Instead, they meticulously mend the object using a special lacquer mixed with pure gold, silver, or platinum. The result is a piece of pottery that is not just repaired, but is now more beautiful, more valuable, and more unique than it was before it was broken. The lines of breakage, once seen as flaws, become veins of shimmering gold. The object's history of being shattered is not a source of shame, but is celebrated as an integral part of its beauty. Your life is this piece of pottery. Your heart is this vessel. The journey you have taken through this landscape of pain and healing has been your own sacred art of kintsugi. The cracks are your wounds, your heartbreaks, your failures, and your darkest nights. For so long, you tried to hide them, to pretend they were not there. But through your courage, you have learned to do something far more radical. You have poured the liquid gold of your own conscious, loving awareness into every single crack. You have traced the lines of your deepest pain with the light of your presence, your compassion, and your gratitude. Look at yourself now. See that your scars are not signs of damage. They are veins of pure gold. They do not signify that you are broken. They testify to the fact that you have healed. They are proof that you had the courage to fall apart and the wisdom to put yourself back together, not as you were, but as you were always meant to be. Do not hide your scars. They are your beauty. They are your strength. They are the map of your soul's triumphant journey. They are what make you, you. The pain is not gone. It has been integrated. It has been transformed. It no longer lives in you as a source of suffering, but as a wellspring of empathy, a depth of character, and a quiet, unshakable wisdom that cannot be learned in any book. You have completed the alchemist's great work. You have taken the heaviest lead of your life and transformed it into the most radiant gold. The doorway of pain, the one you so feared, has served its sacred purpose. It has led you here, to this place of profound peace and wholeness. The journey is complete, and yet it is also just beginning. For the doorway has opened not onto a different place, but into a different way of being. And now that you are here, you realize the final truth. You do not need to walk through the doorway any longer, for you have become the very room to which it leads. The kingdom of heaven is, and always was, within you. Welcome home.